Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are here to celebrate authors. My name is Alicia Magnus Lewis, part of the Los Angeles Tribune team, and so delighted to bring our co host up for today's program presented by the Los Angeles Tribune, Soul Sparks Press, Authors to Watch in 2026. Welcome, Deepika Sandhu. You are the CEO and founder of Soul Sparks Press, and today is a very, very special day because we are celebrating the fact that you have signed over 100 authors to Soul Sparks Press. If people were just tuning in, they saw all of the immense and amazing growth that you experienced over really the last 2 years, events in New York, a soon to come event in Paris that I'm going to ask you about in a little bit. But you are all about sparking souls all around the world. So I want to say welcome. And I know that everyone that is tuning in, whether it's live or catching the replay, is in for such a treat because the work that you do is truly special because it's not surface level. You're really here to spark souls at their depth. So Deepika, welcome. And I would love for you to introduce to our audience that is joining us today what today is all about.
Oh, Alicia, well, we are so excited to be here today with the Los Angeles Tribune to showcase our authors to watch in 2026. You are right. We are 105, I believe, authors deep right now with amazing stories, amazing books coming out in the upcoming year. And we are so excited today to showcase them for the audience to be able to see them and be as inspired by each of these stories as I have been in getting to know them and hearing from them day in and day out. Soul Sparks Press was built to spark 1 million souls because here's the thing, our stories matter. What we share with the world matters, and your own lived experiences can be the spark that somebody needs to change everything. And I know this firsthand from my own writing journey. I wrote my book that actually came out 5 years ago, just this past month. Hello Universe, it's me, and learned firsthand exactly what being honest and true and authentic and sharing my own story could create. And it created a whole lot of things all the way to Soul Sparks Press and this amazing event today. So I am so excited to share with the audience this incredible lineup of authors that we're going to be talking about today, some of whose books are coming out in the next few months, some of whom are going to come out later in the year, some who were released a few months ago. So we're going to hear the whole author journey from being lit up and excited about a pending book release all the way to what it feels like once your book is out and in the world. We're going to see it all today. And in typical Soul Sparks Press style, we've got a few surprises for everyone as well. So there's going to be a lot dropping in our time together. But I say we get started. Alicia, what do you say?
I say we get started. We love surprises. And I would be remiss, Deepika, if I didn't say congratulations for your 5-year anniversary for Hello Universe, It's Me, which has been translated in not one, but 2 languages already. And I know that the impact of this book is just getting started, even though you are celebrating your 5-year. You've been on international tours in Canada and Mexico talking to your audience about this book. So we're celebrating authors today, but of course we have to celebrate you as well because you are an amazing author in your own right. Today we're diving into so many topics: nonfiction, fiction, life stories, but most importantly, depth. So I'm so delighted to introduce our first author here today, Shannon. But Deepika, before we bring Shannon up to join us, I would love for you to share a memory that you have with Shannon that has really touched you and has really created that true connection point with you and her, not only as a person, as an author, but also as someone that's making an impact in this world.
Oh, yes. There's so many beautiful stories associated with Shannon Beardsmore, who is the author of our upcoming journal slash book. We're calling it like a journook because it's more than a journal. It is a book, and it is all kinds of beautiful. But the way my connection with her first started was sitting on these giant swing chairs at a bar in Mexico. And over a beautiful drink and lots of incredible conversation, I think I quickly fell in love with her energy, her enthusiasm, her beauty. And it is such an honor now to have her here as one of our Soul Sparks Press authors and our first release of 2026 with Love Letters. So let's bring her in.
Hello.
Yay, there she is.
And we're so delighted to have you. So excited for your journook. I think we're going to use that for the rest of the day. Your journal and your book. Welcome, welcome, Shannon.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited. Like, I don't know if I could thought bubbles out. It's just all hearts. I'm just living in a world of hearts right now.
And hearts make perfect sense because your book, Love Letters, releases this Saturday, Valentine's Day. So we need all those hearts in the chat right now to give Shannon her love for her book that is coming out this week. How does it feel, Shannon? We're almost there.
I'm so I can't sleep. Like, I didn't sleep last night. Like, it's like I'm having a baby, and I know she's coming on Saturday, and I'm so excited to dress her all in pink.
So Shannon, your book is coming out on Valentine's Day. It is a journal and a book. What was the catalyst? What was the inspiration behind your book coming out, particularly at this time?
Oh, so it's been a year. I think it's been a year in the making. Love Letters was birthed through a lot of pain in my life. Like, I was in a really dark space, and I knew that, like, it's so funny because I knew I can only control what I can control, but I was so sad. I was so sad, and I was like, okay, how can I give myself more love? So I started writing letters to myself. It was just something. My mom gave me a journal for Christmas, and it started in January last year, and I was like, I'm just going to start writing love letters to myself. And the journal was pink. Pink's my favorite color. And it just came. And then I was talking to Deepika, and Deepika said, you should write a book. Deepika says that to all her people because she creates magic. And I was like, I'm not ready to share my story, but I know that I can help heal hearts. And I was like, that's when this came about. And Deepika and I got on a call, and she was just like, well, she was like, she literally looked at my Instagram and was like, Shannon, you said this and you said this. And I was like, well, yeah, I said that, right? Because sometimes things come out, and I was like, oh, that should be on a t-shirt, the Shannyisms, right? And we just started writing, and it just came out. It was like magic. And I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. And I last year I said, well, we should release it on Valentine's Day. And here we are.
I love all of this for you, and I am just so excited. And I think one of the amazing things about watching you go through this journey of creating love letters and now just days away from it being in the world is watching how much you have changed also through this process. I tell people all the time, writing a book is like entering into this portal, and you don't come out the same person that you went in. And that has really been your experience too.
It's so true. And actually, I was teaching today, and one of the students said to me, "You know what? You really embody a person that loves herself." And
Mhm.
I was so touched because if you like a year ago, I just would say, I don't know how to love myself. I know this work intellectually, but deep down inside I was so lonely and sad and scared. I just didn't know. And now just through this process of journaling and I say dumping out your feelings, but also giving yourself love. Um, it's just like I actually am that woman now. And it's so beautiful because now I get to, like I said, I get to help heal hearts and love on people, which is what God put me on this earth to do.
That's
I
so
love that.
beautiful, Shannon. And it's also a reflection of it's okay to just start where you're at. You said you're not ready to share your entire story, but you journal. And so you met yourself where you're at, which is part of loving yourself, is that you don't have to be somewhere except for exactly where you are in the moment. Shannon, when someone picks up your book that they can pick up starting on Valentine's Day this year in 2026, what is something that you want them to think about going into the book as they open up the first page?
Well, one, it's definitely a shady hug, right? Like, cause like I give good hugs. And I just want to let you know, it is like when you hold this, I hope you feel the joy that it is. Like, this is just so much love. But one of the Shannyisms I do say is no shame, no shade, no guilt. And that is so prominent, especially women. I know that we hold this, like I used to always say, I feel so bad, or someone feels left out, like I feel so bad. Like I always used to say that. And I now it's like just give yourself grace. Like you
Mm.
said, it's okay to start wherever you're at, and it's okay. And I just want people to know that, just to love yourself right where you're at. And even if you are, the only thing you can do is open the book, then and put one word down, just put the one word down. Because there was days that's all I could write was one word. So just love yourself enough to know that you opened up the book and wrote one word. So really be okay with where you're at and just have so much grace and love for yourself.
I love that. The whole book is filled with your Shannyisms and your beautiful thoughts. And you're right, it does feel like a hug. So even if you don't know what to write, just turn to a page and something on that page hopefully will pop up from you. It feels like you're talking directly to every single person that will pick this up and read it. And journaling has been such a huge part of my own life. It is still something I do every single day. It started when I was 10 with my little 10-year-old preteen journal that my mom recently gave back to me, filled with the lock and the key and the whole 9 yards. But it just feels so fitting that this year, 2026, our first publication out this year is going to be the Love Letters Journal. And Shannon, I just want to thank you for the honor, for the privilege of bringing this thing to life. Valentine's Day is going to be more magical than ever before because everybody around the world gets to get their Shanny hug in their journal with you. So be on the lookout for it. And we will be sharing all the details of how to get your copy on the day that it is released. Shannon, thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank
being here
you.
today.
Thank you so much. And thank you to your whole Soul Sparks Press for creating this magic. Every single one of you guys have been so incredibly and so magical throughout this whole process. So just so much love for you guys. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. We're wishing you all the best as you launch your book. And journals are so special. I'm like, I have a stack of journals. I reread them all of the time. But there's something about connecting with yourself where you're at. And it's just for you. It's not for anybody else, which is the beauty about journaling. So, Shannon, we are rooting for you. People are in the chat saying congratulations to you. awesome job directly from the CEO of the Los Angeles Tribune, Mo Rock. But Shannon, congratulations on this beautiful moment in your author journey and also in your own personal evolution.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. So Deepika, we just heard from Shannon. That's a new format for you, this journook. I'm going to use that phrase that you mentioned you opened up us up with. You are evolving, I want to say, in the types of books that Soul Sparks Press as a publishing company is releasing. We're going to hear in just a moment from some of your new fictional releases, which is new and fresh for Soul Sparks. But before we go there, what do you want people to know about this kind of journook? Kind of book format and experience as they're thinking about their own author journey and pathway forward?
Yeah, like I was just saying, journals are so powerful and so beautiful. And for in my own life and in Shannon's life and in your life has been so transformational in so many ways, right? To journal and to express. So it's really exciting for us now to be able to bring journals that you might have created out there in the audience to life. So if a journook is calling your name, then reach out to us. My team is in the chat. They'll get you scheduled with us to talk more about how we can bring your journook to life. But you are absolutely right. We keep evolving as a publishing house, really still have the mission of being, of bringing sweepingly inspirational stories to life. But we have just realized that sweepingly inspirational stories could be our own memoirs and self-help and inspirational books that are out there, like mine. Thank you. But also fiction titles. And we're just so excited this year that we are releasing 2 fiction books. And we are elated with these 2 incredible authors that I can't wait to have up on the stage with us next.
So with that being said, as I bring Amy and Michelle up, I would love for you to introduce them and what their author journey has been like to date.
I would love to. Well, Amy Hendrickson is not only an incredibly well-published author already, she is also Secret, the editor-in-chief here at Soul Sparks Press. So we are just so excited to have her here today. And she's not releasing 1, but 2 books with Soul Sparks Press this year. The first one is in the fiction genre, and we're just so excited because March, Paris, Polo, Match will be officially released with Soul Sparks Press. So Amy, I'm so happy to welcome you here today.
Yay, it's great to be here. Just great.
And I'd love to introduce our second author to come take the stage with Amy, which is the amazing, the incredible Michelle Murad. Michelle is the author of the upcoming title Obsessed, and everybody in the world is about to be obsessed with Obsessed. So we're going to get into it with our 2 incredible fiction authors today.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Michelle and Amy. Deepika just introduced you, but before we dive into your upcoming books and releases, Michelle, starting with you, I'd love for you to introduce yourself a bit to our audience so they can get to know you a little more.
Yeah, so I am a podcast producer, I'm a writer, I'm a storyteller by nature. I'm on social media, I'm creating content, I work with kids and create shows around them out of a studio in Brentwood called Studio Place. So storytelling is my middle name.
Thank you so much for that, Michelle and Amy.
Oh, let's see. I joke that I got my first book deal by nearly killing someone. It's not actually something that I would recommend, but it worked for me. But no, I've been writing and publishing for a very long time, decades actually, and I'm just thrilled to be Soul Sparks Press's editor-in-chief. I've spent quite a bit of time doing ghostwriting and co-authoring and book coaching and editing. So sort of everything in publishing at some point or another has been me. So I'm glad to be here.
We're so happy that you're here, Amy. And Paris Polo Match, it's coming out soon. Would love for you to share with everyone that is tuning in right now a little bit of a glimpse, a preview of what Paris Polo Match is all about.
Okay, so Paris Polo Match is the fun, frothy, escapist, fun stuff, right? It's the sort of thing that people discount when they haven't read it because they think that life is, I guess, dull. But it's a fun beach read. It's the sort of thing to curl up with on a weekend. So I wrote it. At the time I wrote it, I had an agent who really specialized in genre stuff, and most of what I write is not genre fiction. And so he said, you write a romance, I could sell it. And I'm like, okay. And so I started writing it. And shortly after that, we realized we needed to separate. And then I thought, but I really love this book. And at the time, I had just finished up a big project for a nonfiction project for the United States Polo Association. And so what I loved about polo and what really captivated my heart was everybody thinks that it's a rich person's game, and it can be. But the vast and majority of people who are playing polo are just normal people who are obsessed with adventure and horses and love the game, right? And so then at the time I thought, well, where would I like to put this? I would like to spend some time in my head in Paris. And so Paris Polo Match is set as an international goodwill game that takes place in Paris, where worlds collide and second chances start.
Ooh, that's so good. Worlds collides and second chances start. And for you, what has it been like as someone that has actively been coaching and editing other people's stories? You've been also writing, but the fact that you are coming out with 2 books, what has that kind of experience been like for you along your own author journey?
Yeah, it's very, it's a good question. So coaching someone else is a lot like being the Lamaze coach, right? For childbirth, where you just like, okay, I can tell you how to do it, but you're going to have to do the final push, right? But it's like when it's your own book, suddenly the stakes are a little higher, the excitement is a little bit more, the energy is definitely there, and then you realize that what you're putting out into the world is something that you genuinely believe in, and you cannot wait to share with other people.
I love that. That is so beautiful, Amy. And I think somebody else who's really loving what they're putting out into the world and has truly birthed her project is Michelle Murad, who's also here today to talk about Obsessed. So as much as Amy wanted to go get her head in Paris and set her story in Paris, Michelle needed to get in her head to create this female fight club. You got to tell them all about Obsessed.
We want to know what this is all about, Michelle.
I like to describe it more like a movie, just because that's just how my brain works. But it's like Legally Blonde meets Fight Club with a dash of The Matrix. It's a fiction book about finding your power, like your pain, turning it into power, and then breaking those patterns. I don't want to give too much away, but it's one for the ages for sure.
Well, I think what you've done really beautifully in the book, because of course I get to read it before anybody else has read it, is you take us on this world. Like you put us in this other world of activity and a pink bat. That'll be everybody's secret of what's coming in this book. But you put us in this other world, and you really just had to go there. When you were envisioning where this was all happening and what was taking place, like, how did you get your mind to go all the places that you end up going in this book? Because you really are taking us on quite the adventure.
A lot of time in the car in Los Angeles while you're driving, your mind goes, what if? And to piggyback on Shannon about love letters, I think women specifically are told to be nice, be quiet, get along with everyone. And I had this breakup where I was like, am I the only one that feels this way? And I had this deep depression, but the depression was now not coming in towards me. It was now going out. So as the anger wasn't coming in, it was like rage. I was like, I am so mad. And it's something that I'm not normally like used to feeling. It was just this like, wait a second. It was this temperature check of, this is so important. I think it's so important to check in with your feelings and know that anger is showing you that boundaries have been crossed, that your like sense of self has been affected deeply. So I had some fun of, where could we go with this, with the pink bat and the new characters, and what is it like for women and a few men to really tap into that anger.
I love it. And you're going to read all about pink bats and sparkly shoes and other kind of craziness that's happening. One last question for you, Michelle, though, is you have a lot of experience with screenplays and bringing things to different screens out there. And I want to just tap into a bit, like, what was it like to switch your brain from a screenplay brain into actually writing a book like this?
It was so freeing, Deepika. It was so freeing. I first have to say, I have to share this, because when I grew up, I always wanted to write. And when I was in school, I was told I was a terrible writer. So I actually like put it aside. So I always thought it was like acting. And then, I came out here for acting. And then I was like, wait, I think it's writing, but I was told I was a bad writer. And so, I made all these screenplays, but writing a book is so freeing. There's no like, you can write so much. You can keep going. The story doesn't have to stop. I mean, I think that's one of my challenges, is that there's just so much to share. There's just so much. The story is so good, and I just want to share it with the world, truly. So yeah, it was freeing. Deepika, it's freeing.
Sounds like a sequel. Story here.
Fiction writing, I think, is incredibly freeing. And I think some of our other authors that we'll hear from had a totally opposite experience, because they're actually talking about their lives and things that happened to them. And I know for you, Amy, Paris Polo Match is our fiction release, but your next book actually touches on grief more. Do you want to tell us just a quick bit about that?
Well, I would say that it's probably fiction too. It's called A Bestiary of Griefs, and that's slated for release this fall. And it envisioned, it sparked from, I lost actually my entire family except for my child within a few years. And so, it sparked from people saying, well, people grieve in different ways, which made me almost just incandescent with rage, because I didn't want to hear that. Don't tell me how people grieve, just anyway. And so I started thinking about that, and that made me envision different kinds of grief as different creatures, essentially, as each sort of different grief. People, some avoid dealing with it, some compensate in other ways. Sometimes there's community grief whenever there's a catastrophe. And so I envisioned each one as a separate sort of creature. And I'm really excited. The illustrator has just finished the illustrations for this. And it looks like it's going to look like a field book, right? So you flip through it, and there's you'll see these little creatures that are envisioned, and what I'm hoping people do is go, oh yeah, that's why I feel this way. It's because of this. So it's nonfiction fiction.
I like that. Yes, the nonfiction fiction actually is a whole new category, and we'll be publishing many of those, I think, at Soul Sparks Press. Well, thank you so much, Amy and Michelle, our first two fiction authors at Soul Sparks Press, but beyond words excited and cannot wait for these titles to be part of Soul Sparks Press, because here's the thing. Our imaginations, our imaginary world allows us to go somewhere that can feel very inspirational as well. And those are the kinds of fiction projects I want to bring. And I think Paris Polo Match does that for us, and Obsessed does that for us too. So a big thank you to both of you for being on today's Author Showcase.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
so much, Amy. And thank you so much, Michelle. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more from the both of you. And Michelle, I feel like you might have a sequel in there. We'll see about Obsessed. It sounds like there's so much you have to share. What a beautiful expansion of the types of stories that Soul Sparks is sharing. And Amy was just talking about writing stories of grief. And I think what's interesting is that the authors that are part of Soul Sparks Press, there's such a depth and breadth of the stories that are shared. And so we have our next guest, Erica, who is amazing, Erica Bacchus, who we're going to bring. But before we bring her up, we're actually going to bring everyone into her world a little bit and share a little bit more about who she is as a person. And then we're about to hear from her author perspective. So stay tuned, everyone.
I became a published author at 80. I simply couldn't help but write. After John died, writing was my way of healing. My journey began in marketing and research, but my greatest adventure was with John, my soulmate of 41 years. His courage in the face of Alzheimer's reshaped how I see love, dignity, and honoring final wishes. This book is more than a personal story. It is an invitation to reimagine how we talk about death, choice, and love. My journey with John in his final years opened my eyes to the importance of talking about death with our loved ones, how we want to leave this world, and how to support one another through it. Writing helped me process what happened, but it also gave me a way to honor him with honesty and compassion, sharing the moral and emotional complexities of assisted dying, while telling our story in a narrative that moves back and forth in time. Now I step into a new chapter as an author, sharing our story to spark compassion, understanding, and honest conversations, because love, dignity, and honesty never go out of style.
How beautiful. It is such a delight to be bringing Erica on here. She stepped out at 80. She wrote her book. She's an advocate. She said that she's an author in her video. She's also a speaker. She really is speaking about the life experiences that she has been through. Erica, welcome to the 2026 Author Showcase.
Well, it's nice to see you again, Alicia and Deepika, of course. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. Erica, we shared with everyone that's tuning in a brief kind of overview of your life experiences, your relationship with your husband, and some of the choices that you made during the ending moments in his life and kind of the beginning moments in yours as you've kind of expanded how you show up in this world. What has life been like for you since your book came out like last fall? How have things changed and shifted for you?
Yeah, the book launched September 30th, 2025, and it's been really interesting. In addition to being exciting, having your book launch is an exciting event in your life, but I'm learning so much from touring with my book and meeting different people. I've spoken with book clubs and I've been in bookstores and had people come and listen. And what's happening is, first of all, I'm finding out that there isn't anybody that sits in an audience that doesn't have their own story to tell. And my story of John participating in an assisted suicide really touches people's hearts, and they relate to it from whatever experience that they've had. And Alzheimer's specifically, you can't have an audience without several people in the audience somehow having been affected by that illness. And so I'm being able to help people realize that there are options for how you want to end your life, to educate them about the laws in their state, to talk to them about how they should be talking about how you want your life to end at an earlier age and not when you're in the middle of a trauma. These are three of the things that I'm really trying to communicate to people. And so it's been very rewarding, and it was really strange for me because this is such a personal memoir. I've had people who are total strangers come up to me in a situation and start talking to me about how's my family, or they'll mention my son's name, or they'll say something about my husband. I think, who are you? How do you know this? It's just, and they think, oh yeah, I wrote a book. It's all in the book. And I apparently have told quite a lot of personal things in the book that people are finding out about me and my family. And what I was going to say is that I'm getting all kinds of emails and notes from people. And what's so interesting to me is that the language that people use to comment on my book is so consistent. People talk about its honesty. They talk about, thank you for letting me know what life can be like and what life was like for you, and how there are options for ending one's life. And they talk about how it's raw, and yet they talk also about the joy that's in the book, because we had a very joyful life. And, we were just talking about grief. I was watching, and one of the things that it's been 2.5 years now, and one of the things that I'm learning about my grief, and I call it my grief because everybody's is different, is that I'm carrying grief with me in my body and in my heart, but I am also learning to recreate my life and to find a different kind of joy. Yeah. And that has been my goal. For a while I thought I'm never going to feel joy again, ever. And surprisingly, I'm able to find it again. And I like to say, and I'm finding it with John's help, because he's with me all the time.
Well, with John's help, and I think writing, you've described this before, helped you really keep John alive in your writing, but also just giving you this beautiful space to process all that you were going through during the end of John's life. Like, this has been, I always say writing is healing, and for you, it certainly was.
Yeah, people, I'd never written anything before I wrote my book. Business stuff, that when I was working, but I was compelled to write, and I was writing for me. I wasn't writing for the world. I was like a vessel that it just came out. And once I started taking it seriously and looking at it as a book, I thought I needed to include stories of John and our life together so people would know who he was. But the other thing I want to say about writing is I was drowning in grief, because my story tells about how I helped my husband die, how I had to choose the day he was going to die, how I was so involved in controlling his life and his death that I suffered through a lot of guilt after it was over. And I needed to figure out, what did I just do? What just happened to our life? And it was just, because I didn't have time to think about it while it was all happening. It was a task. Do this today, do this today, do this today. And when it was all over, the writing helped me sort of piece it together and say, oh, this is what was going on. And no, you didn't kill your husband. This was his choice. Yeah. And so it was very, very helpful in helping me heal.
I love that. And the other beautiful thing I think about your book is all these exquisite poems that you have interspersed in them. And I'm just going to take a moment to mention that Soul Sparks Press is doing our very first poetry anthology, and Erica's poems are going to be featured in that anthology. And for all of the poets out there, if you want your poetry published, we've got a super easy way for people to come in and be part of this anthology too. And my team will drop the link in the chat so people who are poets out there and have something to share can share it. But Erica, you have been inspiring on so many levels with your incredible words in the book, in your speaking, and in the interviews. You are on a podcast book tour right now with some really incredible podcasts that are continuing to come out, sharing your story. And it has just been so compelling and so beautiful to watch the conversations that are starting because of your book. And you should just feel so proud of the impact that you are making. And it's such an honor to have you as one of our Soul Sparks Press authors.
Well, thank you, Deepika. I appreciate that.
And thank you for sharing your story, Erica. Erica, you are also a Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed best-selling author that was announced last year, even before your book came out, because our team had an opportunity to read the manuscript and was just so moved by the realness and the rawness of you truly opening up to talk about something that is not easy to talk about, but gives other people permission to explore what that could look like in their own lives. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Alicia. I appreciate it.
So, I mean, we're going to continue with our author showcase as we ask you to go in just a moment, Erica. Before you do, would love for you to share in one phrase a message that you have to someone about their own story, because you started us off with saying that you believe people have stories in them. But for those that might be hesitant to express their story, what would you want to share with them in one phrase?
Well, I think we all think that nobody's interested in our story. And what I have discovered is that that each of us carries something very important inside of us. And if we are willing to open up and share, we are helping other people by letting them into our own lives and our own persons.
I love it. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Erica. Appreciate you so much for being here.
Thank you. Wow. I feel like every time I hear from Erica, I always learn something new.
Well, I just want her to keep going. Like every time I hear from her, I'm like, keep telling me more. Tell me what else I need to know. She's loaded with wisdom, has gone through so much, but is here spreading her, finding her new joy. And I think that's been really incredible.
That is really incredible. And, she is really being open and expressing and sharing her story. And she is being an advocate. And the next person that we are going to hear from is someone that has lived so much life in such few years, but he's such a bright light. I think every time I see him, I speak to him, it just makes me smile for the person that he truly is. Deepika, I would love for you to join me in introducing our next guest, and people are going to be able to learn about him in many different ways. But I'd love for you to introduce him. I know that he's eager to join us here.
Yes. Well, I am so excited to introduce Dylan Sandhu. And yes, we have the same last name. No, we are not related. But yes, I have known him since he was a very young boy because I am friends with his mom. So that is the connection. But Dylan Sandhu has gone through an enormous amount of life, as you said, in his years. And one day his life changed very dramatically. And he has been in a journey of finding new meaning in his life through the experiences that he's had. And that has translated into his book, Son of the Sea, which is also a Los Angeles Tribune best-selling book, which we were able to announce at our fall release party back in October in New York City. But Dylan has gone on to have a really beautiful launch and release of his book. The comments and the reviews of his book are simply spectacular. And now I'm just so honored to have him join us to share more about his journey and what has happened for him since the book came out. So let's bring Dylan on.
Hi, Dylan. How are you today?
Hi, good. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Deepika.
Hello, hello.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we are. Go ahead.
I'm very excited, but you can't really see the smile on my face.
Well, we know how excited you are and how much writing this book has meant for you. Tell us what it has felt like to see the response of your book since it came out.
Yeah, so I was dealt with the impact on my life about injury. That's what my book is about. I had this injury when I was 18 years old. I'm 22 now. It's been a crazy roller coaster and experience.
I know, and but I think writing about your experience and re-experiencing it through writing, it really changed you too. I think it allowed you to see your story differently. Can you share a bit about that?
Yeah, I was just talking to one of my cousins about this yesterday. I'm kind of relieved that I released it and it's out there to the public. It was kind of nerve-wracking for me after like the first couple months, but I released this back in November, and it's good now. I see people sending me reviews from my father's childhood, people I don't know at all, and it's touching many people. So it, I can put expression on my face, but it's bringing a lot of joy to my life for sure.
I absolutely love the way that you just described that, and that seeing people's response to your book has filled you up in a way that I hope you felt so much love from all these people around the world that are telling you the book is good, because the book is really good, and it's so incredibly touching to hear your story of just being a regular teenager one day and then for everything to change the next. I would love to tee up the video, because we have a video of your author story, which was actually featured at the LA Film Festival. And we'd love to be able to share that with everyone. And it was amazing because when it was shared at that film festival, we were fortunate enough to share several of our author films there back in November of this year. You got the biggest reaction from the audience that was there because your story is so incredibly touching. How did it feel to see your author film be up on the screen back in November? What was that like for you too? Because a book is one thing, but then seeing yourself up on a big screen is quite another.
Yeah, these are very, like, it's a very touchy subject to me. It's cool for a lot of people, but these were real life experiences that I went through. So, like, for me to see, it puts everything in perspective and where I came from and how it's going right now.
Well, Son of the Sea, you have been speaking at events in Las Vegas. You were with us speaking in New York City at our fall release party. You could hear a pin drop when you were talking. I mean, you had the room so captivated. And then you even had your book blessed by Sadhguru. So there's just a lot of, I think, amazing momentum right now behind your book. And just having known you most of your life, it has been such an honor for me personally to bring this story to life and to let people see so much more of you. And just knowing that this is just the beginning, I think there's so much more impact that you, Dylan, are going to be able to make on the world. One of the things you always say is you can get through anything, you can move through it and find meaning in it. And you're allowing people to see that right now through your words and through your experiences. So thank you so much, Dylan, for sharing all of that with us today.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Lynn. And, something that, every time we have an opportunity to speak is that you are sharing from such a real place. It is, you can tell that you've gone through a lot, but you're just at a point where you are you, right? And you're so open and it's so pure. And just appreciate that. We're gonna queue up your video here, and I'm actually gonna keep us on so that our team's gonna keep us on so that we can actually see some of our thoughts and reflections as we play Dylan's beautiful video that just highlights different points in your life. So we're gonna cue that up, and we'll stay on so that we can reflect.
Okay, imagine being on top of the world, all the cars, sports, parties.
Good.
Wow. Dylan, as you watch that video play and you reflect on the experiences that have occurred in your life, what was coming to mind for you?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity to speak at these events. I was in a very bad place a couple of years ago. I wasn't able to do any of this.
It's such an honor, and I was just watching the video again, and I've seen it 100 times, but watching it again and just seeing your parents in it, seeing your brothers in it, your family, your support system was so strong in your life, and because I know them personally too, I feel it so much more. But Dylan, just I am personally so proud of you for being here right now, and like I said earlier, I just know this is just the beginning of all that you're going to do in this life. So I just thank you so much for letting Soul Sparks Press be a part of this. And just, I'm so out of just proud of you, beyond words proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Super, super proud of you as well. I know that your book was announced at a beautiful fall Soul Sparks Press fall release party that occurred back in New York City in October. And just to see you there with your parents talking about your book was just a beautiful moment. And you're continuing to evolve. You did your book launch in Las Vegas. And, I remember speaking to you and you said you want to share your story, you want to speak, you want to show other kids what is possible and know that experiences can be challenging. But there's something to be said about really expressing. I know Son of the Sea is a deeply personal title for you. So as we come to a close here, Dylan, can you share with us what Son of the Sea means to you?
Yeah, for sure. So, when I was younger, my mom would always tell me that your name means son of the sea. That's what she always said. But when I was coming to write this book and release it, I had to find a title, and the title that made the most sense was Son of the Sea, due to the fact that my body, I feel one with the sea. I feel connected to it due to the fact that my left side is very rocky and dark, I feel. So that's exactly what the title and the title page, the photo, it displays half of the sea all rocky and dark and half of it light and calm. And that's how I feel my right side is light and calm.
Wow. That's so good. What an expression. Dylan, congratulations again. You are one to watch for sure in 2026 as you continue to speak about your life experiences and to share your book with the world. And I know that, Deepika is so proud of you just for getting your book out there. There's so much more in store. We appreciate you for joining us here today, Dylan. And I know that you'll be back. I know you have so much more to share, and that you will be back. Thank you so much.
Yeah, speaking of more to share, I'm gonna do an event in Los Angeles, so I'm expecting you to be there.
If this is a personal invitation, Dylan, I would love to be there. I will definitely be there to support you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dylan. And I will see you soon in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining today.
All right.
All right. Oh, always so great when we speak with Dylan about his book. I know that his book has resonated with so many audiences. Deepika, as you think about Dylan's journey, from when he was working on the book to when Soul Sparks Press was collaborating with him to get his book out there, what comes to mind?
When I hear him talk and I hear Erica talk and all of our authors whose books are already out, I hope everybody can see the impact that their books have already been able to make in the world and how they have come alive through writing, right? So for Erica, finding her joy again, finding her purpose again, finding a way to interact with the world again after the heartbreaking loss of her husband, and for Dylan to find so much meaning and purpose in his life now, where healing and recovering isn't just for him, but it's to share in even greater and more beautiful ways with other people, to show them that if he can heal through his journey, we can heal through ours. And I think this is the impact that gets me emotional about Soul Sparks Press, because this is what I'm here to create. This is what I want every one of our authors to experience, this place that you come to where your book, your story can be that soul spark for somebody else to change their lives. And yeah, it just gets me every time, and I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, you could see the joy in your face and see how proud you are. And it's like when people write a superpower that's activated in them, and there's something very, very special about superpowers. In fact, recently Soul Sparks Press released a book called She Found Her Superpower, which is a deep dive on 7 women that went through divorces that found a superpower within themselves. I would love for you to join me, Deepika, in introducing some of the authors of this really fascinating, heartfelt book. She Found Her Superpower, that is as much a reflection of each individual journey, but a reflection of individuals becoming, whether they went through a divorce or not, just their becoming when life events happen that shift them and evolve them in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. Writing is a superpower, and going through something difficult in our lives is also a superpower, because there's always something that's coming from that experience. So these women are sharing their stories of moving from a really difficult time in their lives, leaving a marriage that was no longer serving them, to stand up on their own 2 feet in their own way and unlock, without realizing it, some new superpower within themselves. So these women are super inspirational. So I know that we've got the amazing Catherine joining us right now as one of our authors. I believe we have Natalie, we have Olga, we have Audrey. I don't even know who's in the waiting room. Let's bring them in. There we go. Olga Dewar, Catherine Bisland. And let's bring them all in. These authors are absolutely incredible. And I think one of the really special things about this book, with She Found Her Superpower, is, and I don't even know if these ladies know this, this was our highest selling first day release of our books. We were #1 in paperback in Canada for weeks, and in the US on Kindle. So it was really incredible to have a release like this. We have the amazing Michelle also here today. These authors are superheroes, quite literally, not only for writing a best-selling book, but also because of the bravery that each of them really shared in bringing their stories to light. So yes, I'd love to welcome Catherine, Olga, Michelle, just 3 of our incredible She Found Her Superpower authors. We're so happy to have you guys here today.
Awesome to be
Happy
here.
to be here, Deepika. Happy to be here with you guys.
That's awesome.
Well, She Found Her Superpower, I think, is, special for so many reasons. One, it actually literally sold the most copies that any Soul Sparks Press book has sold on day 1 and month 1 for that matter. But also just so special because it's one in a lineup of collaboration books here at Soul Sparks Press, where people write their individual chapters in a book. So I guess I'll start with you, Catherine, like sharing your story and putting it on paper. And for you, you did it with a lot of humor as well. But this has to bring up a lot of feelings to share, even if it's in just a chapter and not a whole book. What was that like for you?
Oh, absolutely. It really in the writing process brings up some nervous system dysregulation, especially when you're in heavier topics like feelings of grief, feelings of overwhelming sadness, anger, and for myself, I found that the element of humor, my situation, some moments of it were so ridiculous that humor allowed me to step out and observe rather than relive it. And so for me, that's how I handled that experience of becoming overwhelmed at times, but being able to persevere through with humor to observe from the outside how ridiculous it was, how absurd it was.
Yeah, and you did that extremely well with that funny element woven in throughout. You are such a gifted writer, and I think it was really beautiful to see you be able to do that in such a special way. Alicia, were you teeing up a question over there?
Yeah, Catherine, I was curious because you were talking about humor, which is a really interesting way to navigate emotions, especially when we're emoting and we're not sure where to go. What were some of the biggest breakthroughs that you were able to come through, and how you were able to own your superpower through using humor?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think my story is just about waking up to realizing I was recreating childhood trauma in my marriage. And I think number one is a purpose. Had a purpose of wanting to be a mother, but not recreate my childhood. And I wasn't given permission for that, but I did it anyways. And that really gave me a purpose that allowed me to move forward. What I had been tolerating, I was willing to tolerate for myself, but that purpose of wanting to be a mother, I wasn't willing to tolerate it for my child. So that really helped bring me to the other side of the story, bring me to the other side. And the idea that our age, I was approaching 40 at this time and thinking, oh, I've spent, quote unquote, the best years of my life in this relationship. Really just understanding that there's so much more life left to live. Erica came in and just showed us that, right? There's so life, you're in the middle. It was like a middle chapter, right? And I was in the middle of a chapter, but there was so much more book left. So holding that compass, my future child as my compass and my purpose to find the strength to persevere through and come out the other side.
I think that's really a beautiful way of sharing it. And I always tell people when we write about our lives, we get to give those younger versions of ourselves a lot of grace. And Michelle, for you, I think you were really, in your story, you got to slow it down, like what was going on in this marriage for you, and almost take a single moment under a microscope and then understand it with the context of everything that had happened around you. But I really think you got to give that younger version of yourself a lot of grace who got into the marriage that she did.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed writing that moment in the beginning of the book, because as you start writing, you're never sure exactly where you're going to start. And it was like, this is the moment I go back and remember, and I remember it vividly. And in doing so, starting the story that way and moving through the journey that I did through this marriage of becoming conscious of myself, by the end, I recognized what I unconsciously had done through my marriage as I stepped back right then and there, and I didn't even realize it. And over time, both of us coming together at the end in our consciousness together in a respectful and amicable way, for me, is the purpose of the story, to kind of say you can find yourself and your superpower and shift your relationship in a way that works for both parties respectfully. And that felt like a really important message for me to end with.
That's so good. And Michelle, what do you think is something that has shifted in your own life since she found her superpower came out at the end of last year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm also a licensed therapist, and I see people every single week, and they come in and talk about their relationships. And some of them have found my book. Some of them come to me because they read my chapter or they know of me and my story. So I end up talking with people all the time about how to step into their own awakening and consciousness, and how to manage the relationship that they're in, kind of figure out what they actually want, how it works for them, and how to step forward in their relationships as themselves and in alignment with a partner, however that ends up being.
Beautiful. I think that's so, so beautiful. And being in alignment with a partner, or being in a misalignment with a partner, and knowing things have to evolve. Olga, that is part of your story, is coming from Russia to Canada and learning that maybe where you started wasn't where you were going to keep going. Tell us a little bit about your chapter.
Yes, this is actually, Deepika, I think you put it exactly the way it should be. It really, when I think about it more and more after the book now has been published, it's a reflection on my childhood, as Catherine mentioned, and getting into something very new besides marriage and besides being a mom, also moving through cultures to across the ocean to dipping into another culture and figuring out that well, wait a minute, that's not how I perceive that happening at all. It happened so fast. The signs were everywhere when I was still in Russia, but I trusted so much in my love at the time, and I trusted so much in the magic of our love that I thought it will be resolved. And as people will see through my chapter, I always found excuses for the behavior that shouldn't have been tolerated. I see it now. However, at the time, I believe I was lost as well, not exactly knowing who I was, or perhaps I lost myself in the marriage. And realizing, seeing patterns of my childhood, which is, it could be another book, and realizing that's not what I wanted for my son, for our son. And Catherine mentioned that as well, her desire of having a child, and she did not want to repeat the same thing. So there's been a lot learned in a very short period of time. And I am so glad that I had an opportunity to tell this story, because this is now a reflection for some people that I talk to, some people that I help. They can see how my story can help them as well. And I believe it also created more strength for me to help others to see their situation in the color that what it is.
And I think that's been the magic of this book across the board. I mean, everything that I have heard from anyone who has read it and who has shared, they are all saying the impact that it has had on them. We had one of our other authors say that she was surprised at how many men were reading it and gaining something really beautiful from it as well. Well, I find that to be really exciting, that, you never know who your book is truly going to be for when you're writing it. But we hold some intention of who we think our reader is. But I do think the book is always trying to connect to the people that it's meant to reach. And in this case, this book has certainly connected to the people that it is meant to reach. And Alicia, speaking of things that this book is meant to do, I did promise a few surprises at the top of the hour. So I don't know, do you have one for these ladies possibly?
I love that question, Deepika. I think what's so remarkable about She Found Her Superpowers, not only that it was one of the biggest releases that Soul Sparks Press has had, but it was written with such earnesty. Divorce is not an easy subject to talk about. Yeah, it is a topic that I will say Soul Sparks Press, as a publishing company, is very open to exploring. And, there was Desi Divorcee that came out previously, and She Found Her Superpower. And I had the opportunity late last year to speak with some of the authors of She Found Her Superpower, Michelle being one of them, but just about the why. Why did you write your story? What was the personal exploration that you went through, and what does it mean? And the book was written with such amazing quality. Like, when you think about literary impact and literary excellence, the book is written so well. It's so earnest, and it taps into a subject, divorce, in a way that, whether someone went through divorce or not, anyone that experienced a challenging life experience in their life can relate to the stories of Olga, of Catherine, of Michelle's, because it's not what happened, it's the personal breakthrough that was experienced because of what happened. And so shared the book with our team and delighted to announce that she found her superpower, was selected as a Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed best book. And so we
Wow.
of our entire team, to share that announcement with you all. It was selected earlier in the year in 2026, where we decided, because we knew that you were joining the showcase today, to wait to share the announcement. But just so immensely proud of you, Michelle, Catherine, Olga, Audrey, who didn't get to join, and all of the authors of the book, because it really resonated. It's going to continue to resonate. But what came up the most was the fact that it's written so well. It is written so well. It's so real.
Wow.
It's authentic. So congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations,
keep
everyone.
a secret.
God, is this happening?
You did, Deepika.
You had to make me cry.
Wow, exactly. Yes. Tears
So
of joy.
This book has been so beautiful and so impactful, and I want to acknowledge all of the authors: Natalie Prone, Lauren Baca, Audrey Alice, Michelle Winslow, Catherine Bislin, Olga Duar. Just so incredibly proud of all of the women in this book. And thank you, Alicia, for recognizing the caliber of these stories, and I think the impact that this book is truly having. So thank you so much, Los Angeles Tribune, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Bringing new stories to the world, and congratulations again, ladies. And you will also be receiving something special, so stay on the lookout for that as well. We really appreciate you joining us here today, and we really take this moment to recognize you on behalf of our entire team. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to continue with our day, right, Deepika?
Let's go. We're still moving. We got another two incredible authors that are about to pop on together. And I got to tell you, we've been talking to authors whose books are about to be out, or books that came out recently, but now we're moving to two authors who are in the thick of their own writing process. And I just hope that the audience is going to love hearing about what it's like to be in the midst of writing your book. And these two books are ones to 100% watch. We are so excited about it. So let's bring on Lauren and Jamie. There we go.
Hey guys. Hey everyone.
How are you today?
Good. I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Lauren, you always have such amazing energy. I have to say that.
Yes.
We want to check in. Well, one, I want you to introduce yourself, Lauren, and share a little bit about yourself and talk about what it's been like for you on your author journey, because it is one that has been, I guess, expanding over time. The last time we had an opportunity to speak was last October. And so I'm eager for our audience that's tuning in to hear what the process has been like for you as an evolving author.
I have to be honest with you. Outside of school, I have only really written in my journal. I love writing, but I haven't done anything with it. So this has been a really cool experience, because I started with this idea, linked up with Deepika and such a great team. And they were like, don't worry, the journey will reveal it. And boy, is she right, because the journey is revealing it. And I have to say, like, the biggest thing I've learned as a new author is writing is a process. It is incredibly healing. And I have learned so much about myself. It's really centered me. And exactly what Deepika kind of said is that the journey is revealing exactly sort of where I am and what this is actually about. And I feel like I'm so much more centered and grounded, and I have such clarity, about my topic and what I'm doing. And I don't know if you want me to get into that. I'm sure you'll ask more questions, but I will say that the process has been incredibly cathartic and really cool.
I am just so giddy excited about your book because it is incorporating your love of soccer, your life in soccer, as well as your life outside of soccer. It's like all the roads have collided, and you're taking the lessons you learned from soccer, applying them to your life, and giving people quite literally the playbook that they can use to conduct their own lives. And I think when we started this process, that's a bit about what I want to share. It was hard for you to write about certain parts of your life. And I want people to understand this, because for so many of our authors out there, when we start writing about key moments of our lives, we get blocked up and we're like, yeah, nope, exit stage left. I don't want to do this anymore. And for you, I think that you hit some of those parts in your own writing. But what has it been like to go back to those moments in your life and to write about them?
Yeah, I mean, everybody that knows me knows I love to express myself. That is like, I love to talk, I love to express myself. And it's really funny because there were definitely spots where I had trouble. So when I look back at the writing process, it was really hard to go back and revisit my soccer journey and visiting my childhood. Really, really hard. Touching hard things. Realizing that, realizing the role I played in my own suffering, that was hard. Coming face to face with, like the fact that, a lot of my core wounds and misconceptions about myself and my life, like were only surviving through my own beliefs and reinforcements, realizing how much power I was giving away, like just all these things that, like, you're probably like, what are you talking about? But those are things that came out like an exorcism as I started to go back. When I started to try to talk about soccer for the first time with Deepika, she's like, well, tell me. And I just couldn't do it. It was so hard to touch. There's so many wounds and there's so many, unhealed things from that time period that it was really difficult. And at the same time, soccer is what created me. Soccer is what made me, like the person I am today, like hardworking, like accountable, all of these, traits that are, I think people would love to have. I learned them from soccer. So, but it was a hard journey to go back and to touch that stuff, to touch my childhood, to talk about my wounds with my mom, to do all of that. It was very hard to do. I would say that was the biggest thing. Yeah.
But you're doing it in such an inspirational way. And I get the pleasure of meeting with you every single week. We met this morning with my team as well, to work through what you're writing about and what you're creating. And it is so inspirational. It is so, I don't know, it just grabs at you in this incredible way that someone can be at the top of their game, quite literally, and not feel at all like they are at the top of anything. And I think the insight and the perspectives that you are providing and creating through this book are going to be incredible. They already are. And I can't wait for your writing journey to get all the way through to completion, because people are going to benefit so much from your words and your wisdom. So thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing your perspectives today.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see where it goes, because Lord knows what I've done.
We're all going to find out together.
I think it's amazing that you do work with authors, Deepika, to help them along their journey, right? Because sometimes, even if it's accountability to say, did you write a page in your journal this week? Or what was it like for you to write a page in your journal this week? That is all part of the process, because it's not just about getting the book out there. It's about the transformation that happens internally as an author. So Lauren, we're so happy that you're continuing along your journey.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this.
And really excited to have our next author here as well, Jamie, who is well in the thick of her writing process as well, but from a totally, I don't know if this was, it's almost like you're writing two books and having a full-fledged therapy session all rolled into one, because you're going back to the journals that you've been writing for the last 20 years and bringing those journals literally to the page and telling us the story of your life, your travels, your growth. And this has been really like a exercise, like surgery, right? To go back and reread every page of some of these old journals and bring them back to life. Tell us a little bit more about your process and your
Yeah, it truly has been. I could totally relate to what Lauren is saying around writing being so cathartic and healing. And originally, before Deepika, you and I connected and I signed on with Soul Sparks Press, I was just doing this for my own growth and healing and trying to, figure out who I actually am. And so the book is, you're right, it's journal entries, raw journal entries from like quarter life to midlife, and it tracks me across 3 continents in my travels teaching abroad in Australia and China and Mexico. And really it shows the duality of who I am and who I think I should be, and the wide gap between those two things, and how on the outside I was and have always been accomplished and composed and endlessly productive and busy, but on the inside, it can look like you're living your best life from the outside, but on the inside I felt lost and unraveling and craving more in all aspects of my world. So I think that the book really reveals how I was hiding who I was under a mountain of who I thought I should be. And so closer to the end of the book, or as we get through, I'm about halfway through, Lauren and I were just joking in the backstage chat. We got all the time in the world. We're still doing our writing. So through the course of, middle to the end of the book, it's really embracing the duality of those two things and not moving from one to the other, per se, but embracing both and letting go of what should be. And I joke around, Deepika, you and I have said this a lot about how it's learning how to stop shoulding all over yourself and really getting out of your own way and granting yourself permission to just be and move fluidly between who you are and who you think you should be and who the world thinks you should be.
And that's what I think has been so fascinating about your journal entries and the way that you're bringing them to life in this book is that all throughout your 20s, you were just shoulding, like, I should do this. I should go here. I should date this guy. I should have this apartment. And you're just doing that, which we all were, by the way, in our 20s, right? Like,
still am.
And sometimes still are. But this evolution that we're seeing in the writing and in your story where you're recognizing you just get to be whoever Jamie is at any given point in time. She just gets to be herself. And I think that message is going to resonate so powerfully with audiences.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it does require a lot of going back, as you said, Lauren, can be really tough, right? And seeing your old self or your younger self through your current eyes. And I think it requires a lot of intentional compassion and care instead of, judgment and criticism. And those are some cringe moments, right? When you dig deep into old journals that are decades old. And I think that that's one of the hardest parts about writing a memoir, I think, is really being intentional about how you see yourself now through your current eyes. And part of the book, I think, is going to be letters from my current self to my younger self throughout these journal entries. And so really highlighting where I see the growth and the learning and the shifts and the change and the courage to show up in spaces as my whole self.
Yeah, beautiful.
That courage currency to be able to show up as yourself. And there's a lot that's in there because it's like the lived wisdom of now, but also connecting with wherever you were at whenever you wrote those first pages on the journal entry, which is so beautiful about the power of a memoir and what it can do in your life. And so we appreciate you both for joining us today. If both of you had one closing thought or reflection that you would want to share with the audience, what would it be? Let's start with you, Lauren, and then we'll go to Jamie.
Yeah. So I think the big thing that I think about when I look back on this is like everybody, I think okay, big thing is my mom used to say, like, the first rule is there are no rules. Right? Like there just aren't rules. And so like I look at like their only perspectives, their ideas, their thoughts, and like the view we have of the world and of ourselves is by and large like inherited, right? So I think like the big thing that I want to get across in my book, and that I actually have spent all this time writing, getting across to myself, is that like I can be whoever I want to be. I can design myself how I want to design myself. And the way I've designed myself thus far is kind of based on this misunderstanding I had with my parents. But if I want a different life, if I want to be a different person, or I want to have a different life, like I can design that through my thoughts, my actions, the work that I put in. That's possible. And like the biggest thing, like to anyone listening, like I'm not special at all. Like anyone can do that. You just have to do it. So like the notion that nothing's fixed, nothing's final, it's so hopeful, and it's not easy. It's very hard. It's a lot of crying, but at the end of the day, if you want it, it is there. It's not fixed and final, and you don't have to accept what you inherited.
It's not fixed and final. You got to write that in the book. That's not in there.
That's you don't have to accept what's inherited. That is so good. Jamie, for you, what is the closing reflection that you want to leave with the audience today?
Yeah, I would totally build off of what Lauren is saying, and like really center this agency over your own life, and being able to show up in your own life in the ways that you truly want to, instead of the ways that external expectations or social conditioning expect you to, and resist the internalizing those external expectations, and really granting yourself, like the book's called, permission to just be whatever it is you want to be. And for all the perfectionists and people pleasers and overachievers, and those who feel like imposters in their own lives, like, you do have that agency to be able to slow down and soften and really embrace aspects of who you are that maybe aren't necessarily applauded in the external worlds, right? But they can be applauded within your internal spaces and within your personal spaces. So yeah, it's the both and for me. It's really embrace the both and let's move away from that either or. You have to be one or the other. And if you're not this one, then you're failing. Or if you're this one, then you're reckless, or you're, not welcomed.
Well, both and. They are both Soul Spark Press authors, full of wisdom, full of brilliance, and every week it's like we get into these sessions together. I'm just like, this is going to be so good. I think I say that at least once or twice during every session, because their writing really is that good and that exciting. So thank you, ladies, so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom and all that is coming in both of your books.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for also making it come alive. Like that, don't let that go unnoticed. Thank you for being there, for lifting us up, and for helping us, make the world better.
Mm-hmm.
That is a superpower that Deepika definitely has. Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Jamie. And Deepika, when we think about superpowers, one that I believe that you had, as I've been able to witness your journey over the years, is that you bring what's already within out of people in such a beautiful way. And you also connect with individuals that are doing mission work. Like, they may be an author, but they're doing something important in their community. They might be going on a journey that is challenging, like Shannon's on her own self-love journey. But as she went along hers, she wanted to help people along theirs at the same time. And there's an author that you've worked with. Her name is Natalie, and she's an author, but she's also created a space, a cafe, where her son, who has what I like to call a special ability, can work. I was inspired by her son, but it's a place where people that are neurodivergent or have special abilities, disabilities, as some would say, can actually have a place to work. And it is one of her own unique superpowers that she has had. And as she has shared her story, it's been really important for her to kind of reflect what that's been like. She's an author of She Found Her Superpower, and her name is Natalie, and she's going to be joining us today. And I just want to take a moment to recognize her work, not only as an author, but also as an entrepreneur, as someone that really cares about her community. So we're going to have Natalie join us in just a little bit here. We want to say congratulations again to the fact that She Found Her Superpower is a Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed best-selling book. To all of the authors, and the Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed bestseller experience is a community-driven, nomination-based experience. It's all about books that have cultural relevance, literary excellence, and impact. And there's a few Soul Sparks Press authors that over the years have been selected as Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed best-selling authors for that reason. And so if anyone wants to learn more about the Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed bestseller experience, you can visit LATribuneBestseller.com. And we're going to bring Natalie up to talk about her superpower, but also the work that she is doing that is so important in her community as an entrepreneur. Welcome, Natalie. How are you today? And we may have lost Natalie for a second. I think we're going to give her a moment to readjust her camera and she'll be back. But Deepika, you've been working with Natalie since last year. What is something that has stood out the most to you about her?
Yeah, Natalie is one of our She Found Her Superpower authors, and her insights and perspectives that she shares in her chapter are absolutely beautiful. And she's talking about her wedding dress, and it goes on to talk about what a wedding dress actually symbolizes when you're getting married, right? It's full of all those hopes and aspirations and dreams and the desires that we might have on our wedding day. And she sort of uses that as a metaphor to talk throughout her chapter. But I think what's so beautiful about the way that Natalie has done this in her chapter is like she is so thoughtful and so able to observe this moment and connect with this moment in a way that I think is just so resonating for women that are out there. And she does that in everything that she does, the way that she speaks, the way that she communicates, and what's happening at the cafe that she runs. And it's so exciting to have Natalie here now to chat about it a bit more.
Can you hear me now?
We
Hello.
can hear you. Come on back and welcome. Natalie, you have such an interesting perspective in the book, like Deepika was talking about, because you talk about not only your experiences getting married, but the symbolism of the wedding dress and what it means. For those that may not be familiar, can you talk about why you decided to make that one of the grounding points in your chapter and She Found Her Superpower?
Well, the wedding dress is so significant when you are getting married, and you attach a lot of your dreams, your expectations, your goals, and everything you want to accomplish while you're married and what you're going to do. And that's exactly what this dress represented to me.
That's so great. And Natalie, for those that may not know you, would love for you to share a little bit more about the work that you do in your community, your cafe, and what one of your superpowers is, because I know that you have many.
I would be glad to. Well, I am a social worker. That's what I do in terms of work every day. My daily job is I'm a social worker. And I also am a co-owner of a little cafe here in Dieppe, New Brunswick, Canada, that's called Cafe Inclusio. And we employ people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The reason why we decided to open such a cafe is because I have a son with Down syndrome, and we definitely needed to decide what we were going to do once he was done with school. And we took the creative route and we made him a job.
I love that you didn't let the people or society or whatever tell you that these things can't happen. You were like, no, I'm going to go make that happen. And I've had the pleasure of seeing your son in so many of our meetings over the year as we were writing and bringing She Found Her Superpower to life. And he's just a bastion of energy and positivity. And I can only imagine walking into your cafe, what that experience must be like for the people who are coming to the coffee shop every day. And just recently, you actually hosted a book event for She Found Her Superpower there. You got to tell us, what was it like to see people come together into the cafe to share in the celebration of your book?
It was incredible, Deepika. Like, I have never experienced so much love coming towards me from an audience. They were very, very engaged. We gave them the opportunity to asked me questions with regards to the chapters, and many asked about, what was it like to write about your divorce, and what is your superpower? All the questions you're asking me today, and to know that people took precious time out of their busy schedules to come and spend an afternoon with me to celebrate me and celebrate this beautiful book, She Found Her Superpower, was incredible. I was so grateful for that opportunity. So grateful.
Well, we are so grateful that you were in that book, and I know that you weren't on live with the other authors a few minutes ago, but we announced to that group that She Found Her Superpower is an LA Tribune award-winning bestseller, and we are like so honored and so excited. Critically acclaimed bestseller. I get the title wrong every now and then, but congratulations, Natalie. You were already a best-selling author. The book did so well in Canada, in paperback. We were #1 in every category, everywhere when the book was released. Now we are award-winning too for this book. So how does that feel, Natalie?
Oh my gosh, the awards keep on coming. That is amazing. Yes, yes, yes. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. but the important part in all of this is the impact that we have made on the people that are reading those chapters, because it took a lot of us, like we had to become vulnerable and speak about our own precious and personal, intimate stories, and that is what is resonating with the audience, with the people who are reading, and that's how we sharing our stories. That's how we make sure people know that they're not alone.
I love it. So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank
People
you,
are not
Natalie.
alone. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Natalie. It's so great to see you on, and congratulations on all of the success of She Found Her Superpower that we know is going to continue throughout the year. For those of you that are tuning in, we're at Soul Sparks Press Authors to Watch in 2026. And if you've been listening or taking notes today, you can see why these authors are the ones to watch in 2026, because they're making such impact as authors, but also in their professional lives outside of authorship, like Natalie is doing with her Inclusivio Cafe. Thank you so much, Natalie, for joining us today, and we're wishing you all of the best. We're continuing, Deepika. We are continuing. What is amazing is, Soul Sparks Press launched in 2024, and to see the growth that Soul Sparks Press has had, not only with the number of authors that are signed to Soul Sparks Press, but also the types of books that Soul Sparks Press is publishing is beautiful. I'm excited to hear from our next group of authors, because they have written children's books. And I know children's books is something near and dear to you because of the relationship that you have with your own daughter. But as we bring our next group of authors up, Jalpa, Kurti, and Rochelle, I would love for you to share a little bit about what Soul Sparks Press expansion into the children's space book means for you, and also looks like in 2026.
Let me tell you a story. Yes, I am known for my book, Hello Universe It's Me, which I love. But about 6 months after Hello Universe It's Me came out, I actually had this children's book idea that would not leave me. And I was like, I just wrote a book. I don't want to write another book. But it was like, it was just coming. And I basically closed the door in the room that I was in. I was visiting my mom, and I said, I just got to do something. And I was in the room for maybe 4 hours, and I wrote out this children's book. And I was like, okay, I guess we're writing more books. And my second book came out, which was She Found Her Superpower, which is a story of my daughter and I doing our road trips, going up and down California in the middle of the pandemic when we couldn't fly to get home to Los Angeles to be with family, and had the most amazing adventures along the way. And I think that is what cemented my love for children's books, because the effort that it takes to produce a children's book is equivalent to, you know, the effort that it took me to write a full 50,000 the 50,000 word book. So for this reason, I am just super passionate about children's books and bringing children's books to life. And guess what? We are. So we are so excited to have with us today 3 of our incredible children's book authors. And we've got so much to talk to them about. Like, I can't even wait. So I'm so excited to bring them up to share their stories. So join me in welcoming Jalpa Patel, Preeti Prasad, and Rochelle Neal. They are all here today. And Alicia, this group is going to blow your mind. And the reason for this, well, there's many reasons for this. We're writing children's books, and sometimes we think children's books are just, you know, whatever, books for kids. Every one of these authors are writing books that are meaningful, that are deep, and that are relevant to our time here today. There is so much going on in our world right now. There is so much challenges that I think the world is experiencing right now. These 3 are writing books and writing stories that are helping children make sense of it all. And I am so honored and so proud to have these 3 as Soul Sparks Press authors as part of our children's imprint, which we are lovingly calling Tiny Soul Sparks. So welcome to these 3 incredible women today.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jabba, I would love to start with you. What has the experience been like for you to become a children's author? Like, what was that spark within you that said, this is the type, out of all of the books that I could write, this is the type of book that I want to write?
Oh, yes. Hi. You know, I've always loved culture. I studied Native American studies in college. And when I became a mom, I just naturally told my kids that Indigenous peoples were the first caretakers of this land. And since then, over time, many families have come with their own stories. So I never realized the impact this had until we were out with my eldest. She was 5 years old, and we bumped into a co-worker of mine, a fellow social worker. And my daughter asked her, "Where are you from?" And my coworker said, "Oh, I'm from here." And my daughter just very naturally said, "Cool, you're Native American?" So that moment just took my coworker back, and she said, told her family story that she's from Germany and came to the East Coast and West Coast. And she later came to tell me, "Jalpa, what a beautiful way to view our world. We all have a story." So that's where it started, and that's what I tell my classes and my workshops, and that's what the book tells.
It's important. The work that you're doing is important. I think, especially when you think about how much younger kids evolve, and that what they hear sticks and it matters. And sometimes they don't have that discernment of understanding language enough to understand what they should be listening to and what they should be pushing away. So the type of content that is created for young individuals matters, which is why children's books and representation in children's books is so key. Rochelle, thank you so much for joining us. I would love for you to share with our audience what brought you to the world of children's books and what you want people to experience when they themselves, as a parent, as an auntie, or the child actually picks up and reads your book.
So I realized that I felt disconnected from Black culture. And of course, it's not, you know, there's stories out there. You can find out about Black culture. You can get connected to Black history. So I started doing research and diving into that. And in my diving, I found like a lot of these topics I didn't learn about until I was an adult. So I'm like, why don't I fill this gap and create stories about Black history? So my collection is a book of 4 stories that act as a window into that Black history. And they just help my readers understand how Black communities thrive, rise, and continue to create, even with all of the odds stacked up against us.
So powerful. Happy Black History Month. And representation is so key everywhere, but particularly for children. So I think it's great that that is how you have decided to dedicate your time. When we come back to each and every one of you, I'm going to ask you to share more about your book and where people can find it, when it's going to be available and everything like that. But would love for Kirti to introduce herself to the audience that has joined in and share like what really brought you to the space where like children's books is where I want to focus my time and energy.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. So really the inspiration for my books actually came from my background in teaching. And also I'm a mom. I have three girls. But more importantly, it came from my grandparents. And today's actually a little bit of an emotional day for me because my grandfather actually passed away 2 weeks ago today, and it's his birthday. And the inspiration for this book that I have coming out next, called From My Heart to Yours, was heavily inspired by my grandparents. So I just kind of wanted to put together a collection of like love letters for children who need to know that they are the light, who need to hear that they are loved, that they are seen, and that they are.
Well, we are sending you a lot of love today for your grandfather, and let's just take a moment of time to just hold space for him. We appreciate you for sharing from the depths of your heart, and love and self-love and sharing love is definitely a theme that has come up a lot during today's Soul Sparks Press Authors to Watch in 2026. It is about sparking love, about reflection, and about becoming, which is something that is so beautiful about Soul Sparks Press. We're going to start with you, Jalpa. I would love for you to kind of share a little bit more about your book and what people should be expecting from you in 2026 as an author to watch.
Ooh, I'm excited about this book. It's really, for me, it's a book about belonging. No kid should ever ask or wonder if they should belong or if their friends should belong. So this is a story of a curious girl who wonders where are all her friends from. So she goes to Wizzy, who's this cool, wise tree, and tells her that all of her friends have a story. So she goes on this adventure, asking, where are my friends from? And then she starts asking, what's your family story? So it kind of transitions into that. And it's a beautiful story where she learns that everyone belongs and everyone has a story.
The message is so beautiful, Jalpa, of your book. And I am like personally I think I said this about everybody, but it's true. Like I'm really excited about it. And I think what's so compelling is, as I said at the top of this segment, is like there's so much going on in the world today. And there's so much that is happening, especially for our kids who are bearing witness to all that is going on around them. And to have a book like this that is connecting them to the world at large, but also to knowing that they belong and that they are meant to be here, and being able to share that across all these different kids that get to be part of that book and that are being shared as characters in there is just really powerful and really incredible. And I'm just so honored and excited that this book is coming because of the impact that it's going to make on so many young minds out there. So I thank you for your incredible words.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much, Jalpa. And what about you, Rochelle? What can people expect from your book that's coming out?
So my book, as I said, is a collection of 4 stories. But what I love about it is that it is from a child's perspective. So we really get into experiencing what a child might have experienced if they were in a situation. But it is stories about Juneteenth, Seneca Village, and the Tulsa Race Massacre, along with a personal story about one of my ancestors. But it just really highlights how Black communities, like, we just continue to thrive and push forward. So I like the perspective of a child because it's a little bit more intimate. So I'm hoping that my readers of other ethnicities that are not African American kind of get a little bit of a understanding of what we might experience.
I think another really incredible element that is coming in your book, one, you've also picked moments in history that aren't that widely known. I will admit that I didn't know anything about Central Park and Seneca Falls until you and I were talking about that for this book. But also that we're going to give because, I'm in every book.
You're helping
around here. So one of the beautiful things that is being incorporated into your book is giving children and their families a way of witnessing history that is occurring today, because the way your book is written is a child in that moment experiencing what was actually going on at that time, and we are currently bearing witness to a lot of history happening around us now, and you're going to truly give these kids, these future readers, an opportunity to be able to express what they're seeing about the things playing out in our world today, which I think is going to be incredibly powerful.
Thank you.
Yes, incredibly powerful. And Kirti, would love for you to share a little bit more about how people can connect with your book and what they can expect, even more than you've already shared with us so far.
Yeah, so my book is essentially love letters. I'm a girl mom, so this book is actually written for little girls. However, my hope is that anybody can pick up this book and find inspiration from it. We see there's so much happening in the world today, and I was very fortunate to grow up in a home where love was fully present. But I do understand that not everybody has that. So my hope for this book is that it is kind of like a guiding light for someone who may need it. It's kind of like that love that someone may not have felt, and just basically like a warm hug to help them get through life.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And I think, we talked about love letters at the top of our broadcast here, Alicia, with Shannon Beardsmore and love letters that is coming out on Valentine's Day, just a couple more days. But Kirti, this book that you are writing right now, I think is going to be the most beautiful special way of giving young people that feeling, that sensation of being so loved. And you've just poured so much of your heart into it. You're already a published author if you have several other children's books. And I am just so personally honored that you have brought this book to Soul Sparks Press. And I can't wait for it to come to life. And the chat is popping for Kirti. So I don't know what you did, Kirti, to get all these people in here.
But family is saying hi. They love you and appreciate you.
But it's just so incredible because, and an honor for me that these beautiful words, the words you've already created with your other books, are part of our Soul Sparks Press family, and it's such an honor to really bring those words to life. And I can't wait for this book either. Surprise, surprise! But I do really love it.
They're all amazing books, and Kirti, Jalpa, and Rochelle, we appreciate you for what you're doing. I shared this before, but children's book, they really matter. Representation really matters. Love really matters. Kids are so impressionable. And the more reflective content out there for them to connect with is just so important in their own development. But also so that there's depth and breadth to the types of stories they have the ability to read or be read to. So we appreciate you all for joining us, and you're definitely all authors to watch in 2026. And we're looking forward to your books hitting the bookshelves and coming to life. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So for those of you that are continuously tuning in, our audience has been really strong with us today. As you can hear, there's a theme. There's a lot of authors here, but there's also authors to watch. And there's authors that are, they have an idea. They're not sure what to do next, but they are working with Deepika as part of her Write With Me experience to formulate their ideas and to go through that creative development process to get their books out there. One of these authors is Stephanie Roberts, who we're going to bring up here to talk about her experience with the Write With Me program. And then we are going to bring a few other Write With Me authors up next, which include Danielle and Rhonda and Luz. But Stephanie, what has your experience been like during and joining the Write With Me program with Deepika?
Well, to say it very short, it's my favorite time of the week, my favorite hour of the week. it's given me something, honestly, I didn't expect at all, which is this space for creativity and healing. When I sit down to write, it genuinely sometimes feels like I become a portal to something higher. Like words are moving through me and onto the page that I don't expect sometimes. The reflection itself is healing. And then revisiting these moments and these lessons, memories, and growth has actually created even more growth and consciousness in real time. So it's just been this absolutely beautiful experience that I did not expect, and can get quite emotional sometimes. So it's wonderful. I love every second of it. And I'm really sad for it to end in like 5 or 6 weeks.
I know.
Well, it might be an ending of the Write With Me, but the book is going to live. So that's the beauty there.
It will live on.
What has been so exciting about watching Stephanie's process, one, she and I are friends. We've been friends for, I think, 20 years now. And watching her come into this process, it is a joke that I tell everybody they should write a book, but I genuinely feel everybody has a story. Stephanie and I talk all the time, and it just sort of happened to come up in conversation as she was sharing about her life. I'm like, God, this would make such a great story, this very specific part of what she is writing about. And here we are. She's well on her way to being nearly complete with this book, and sent these fabulous pictures last week from Switzerland, where she was vacationing, sitting at cafes, and it totally made my heart so happy. So it's such an honor, Stephanie, to watch you bring your book to life.
Thank you so much. And thank you for holding space for us in this class. I really love it.
I love that you love the class. You can literally see the joy in your face. You can tell.
That's my favorite part of the week.
What has surprised you the most about your author journey, Stephanie? As you've been part of this class, as you've been thinking, reflecting in cafes, writing, like what has surprised you maybe the most about all of this?
I mean, other than the healing and just like what has occurred through just writing and how you reflect a lot during the process and what you learn. What else would it be? I think like I'm surprising myself. And the growth that I've had just in writing this book, just over the last few, like I thought I was over that hump. I thought I knew what I was writing about. And then what has happened since then is like even greater, like more beautiful. And yeah, I think just entering this writing class has just been pivotal just in this point of life. And I thought I had done some healing and growing, and it's even more and more and more as I write this book. So it's been quite beautiful.
That's so
that's
great.
a theme, right, Alicia? Like we keep hearing people talk about how they're healing through the writing. So it's got to be true.
It has to be true. It is part of the experience. And Stephanie, I have to say, we all have to wish you well in your next 5 to 6 weeks. Savor it, but know that the authorship continues for you, and we'll be on the lookout for your book when it comes out. We so appreciate you for joining us today. I know that you are going to leave us in just a moment. So closing reflections and thoughts for our audience today.
Oh, from me.
Yes.
I would just say if you have any thoughts, dreams, or any kind of thoughts along your journey of like writing or find creativity or want to find a space, to just try it. I think it's a beautiful space to be held, even if you don't have any intentions of writing a book, because when I signed up, I didn't. Deepika just told me, this is a story that needs to be told. And so I'm like, sign me up. So just, I mean, it's a great space for creativity and healing, and to just take that opportunity, take that bet on yourself, and invest in yourself, even if you have no intentions.
That's so good. Invest on yourself, even if you didn't have intentions. And the surprise might be how surprised you are. I love that.
I love that.
That is so good. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for joining us today. We're going to go over to Danielle. Danielle, you've been with the Write With Me program since last year. And what has come up for you? There's been a theme of healing, of self-love, of discovery, of superpowers. What has come up for you as part of the Write With Me class, but also just your own kind of personal Danielle life story?
Well, what's actually come up for me, and thank you again for having me.
Hello.
This entire journey has been such a crazy ride, a roller coaster, and it definitely becomes a roller coaster of emotions where you do this healing of things that you never even thought that you had to heal before. So for me in my journey, it's really about healing that inner teen and just trying to talk to that inner teen self of, hey, it's okay. You're seen, you're heard. I got you. And it doesn't have to change the entire trajectory of your life. You can change things. So it kind of healed that process of, okay, this doesn't have to be my life forever. And I get to choose to rewrite the story if I so choose to. So it's really cathartic, and it's definitely healing, crying, all of the things combined.
I just love the way that you're doing this too, and what you've already written as part of Write With Me, because we all talk about healing our inner child, and everybody talks about what happened to you under the age of 7. And I have had to convince many a therapist that I was great under 7, but like those teen years are a whole other story. And you are talking all about how to heal our inner teen, and it's done in such a beautiful and incredible way. But I think in your writing, and we've heard some of the other people mention this as well, as you were writing, you were really processing what it meant to heal yourself as your inner teen, and then how that inner teen version of you kept showing up in your 20s and showing up in your 30s again. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I know it's a little bit of a different scene where a lot of books and materials are all about inner child. So it's kind of like a different spin where your inner teen, no one really talks about that piece of it, right? And how much it actually formulates through adulthood, because every decision you make, some of that becomes part of those little processes that you didn't get to heal. So you don't think about it until afterwards. And then when you look at your life and things that you've done and things that you've accomplished or not accomplished, there's certain facets of it that you think to yourself, wait a second, where is this coming from? And then you start to unpack that. It's almost similar to peeling an onion. Yeah. So a very large onion, right? I mean, yeah. But at the same point in time, it's so imperative that you actually heal it, because that's the only true way that you can move forward. Because if not, you're just putting Band-Aids on pieces of your life, and you don't really get to live that full, free, beautiful life that you get to choose, right? And not the life that someone else wants you to have, the one that you deserve to have, that you get to choose. So it's really important to do. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that piece as much. And I really just want to stress that, because I look back and wish I had something like this when I was that age, and kind of, something to say, hey, it's okay, I got you. So
well, you're creating it now. And your session of Write With Me, which is 6 months long, ended right at the end of the year. And I know that your writing continues, but I'm so excited to see it all come together and come to life, because I think the topic is just so beautiful. It's so important. And I think you're doing a great job at bringing it to where it needs to be, and to the readers that really need to read it. So keep going, Danielle. Don't stop.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Keep going. And Rhonda, we'd love to hear what your life has been like since joining Write With Me and going through the writing process recently.
I would say the biggest gift this has been is really learning how to become vulnerable and really living that life. Being able to, when I started, the story is about my father, and he was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia in 2020. And so when I first started to write the book, it was really more from a coaching perspective. This is what I've done with my dad. This is what, we've done together. This is the process. And I remember when Deepika showed up and she said, I think, Rhonda, there's more in you. There's more available in you. And I said, oh my gosh, what do okay. And I really had to go into that vulnerability place. And there became this whole process of reflection and being able to step in and write from there. And now it became a story about my journey, my path, my awakening with my father.
I'm so excited about your book because you've already finished and you were in a cohort last year. You were actually in our first Write With Me cohort last year that started last January. And from that group, we actually had one winner who would get free publishing with Soul Sparks Press if they got through their book and submitted a full draft at the end of the program. That winner was you,
yes.
Rhonda. And it's been incredible to watch the development of this book because once you won, then we kind of went into editing mode and said, okay, let's really see what story we have here and what more we can dig in and pull out of this, because your story is quite provocative in its own way, because it's not just about your dad and his diagnosis, but it's also your ability to look at a diagnosis that he has and the illness that he's now living with as a blessing. And there aren't many people that think getting illnesses like this would be a blessing, but here's Rhonda telling us it is, and you make a very compelling argument. Can you help the audience? Like, they're probably all wondering what I'm talking about now. So help them understand how you can look at something like this as a blessing.
Thanks, Deepika. I think what this gave me is when when this was brought into my life with my dad, the very first thing the doctors would say is like, this is a tragedy. I'm so sorry for you and your family. And there was something inside me that said, I can't, that's not my truth. And so I had to follow that. And through this journey of the last 4 or 5 years, I've realized that this has been one of the biggest, my dad and this experience and dis-ease has been one of the biggest gifts that has ever been given to me, in the sense that if we just stay with what other people tell us, then maybe we're missing something in our lives. Maybe, there's so much more out there. But when we think, okay, well, I have this diagnosis, or this is the trajectory of what your father's going to experience. And I mean, in 2022, they said, look, he has 6 more months. And I'm actually in California today, so I get to go see him in about a half an hour. And I just think if I would have held on to that, thinking, oh my gosh, he only has 6 more months, I wouldn't be here today with this gift, with this book, with this opportunity to share with the world that really what we create our realities by what we believe and how we carry that through our lives. And really, it's like the way I looked at it is that when they gave me that diagnosis, I was so fearful. And what this gift has been is like, I get a choice to choose between fear and love.
I love that. That is so, so beautiful. And Rhonda, I am personally just so excited. I've said it 10 times now. I've got to find a different way of saying it. But this book, because I do think it's provocative and I do think it's going to get people to think, we are looking forward to looking forward to your book coming out this fall. And, you have participated in Soul Sparks Press events before. You were at our marquee event in Los Angeles at the Grove, Barnes & Noble bookstore, where we did a really spectacular event. And one of the people on our panel today was in the audience that day, just as an observer. So I want to go and say hello now to Luz Gonzalez, who was an observer at one of our events and went on to become an author with us, and not only writing her own book with us, but we are also doing an amazing collaborative book as well, called Chingonas, that we're going to talk about as well. But Luz, how does it feel to go from watching other authors on a stage, hearing their stories, getting inspired, to being one yourself, and now you are personally bringing so many other people into writing with Soul Sparks Press through this collaborative book that we are doing?
Well, Deepika, it feels amazing. It feels out of this world when I went into that Barnes and Nobles, it was first of all, it's the biggest Barnes and Noble I've ever been in. It's 3 stories. I saw the red carpet. I saw you guys getting interviewed. And I remember I had the printed guide that I printed here at home. And to me, it started, I guess becoming an author started there, but I didn't know like the magnitude of it. I was trying to leave it like in my little shell, right? I'll do this and then I'll print it out and give it to my friends and family. But then when I stepped into that Barnes and Nobles and I saw the magnitude of what, of the lives you could change with your words and how the authors were there. And I believe you were there, Alicia, right? You were doing the interviews. Yes, it was beautiful. I was like, wait a minute, maybe this is bigger than me just printing it at home. So that is what I guess like just opened my mind to be open and to be able to work with you or even think that it would be possible for me. So thank you.
You got a soul spark, like we get to say. You got the soul spark in that moment. And what I think has been so powerful is that from the moment I met you, I was just taken by the story that you were going to tell about yourself and your community and being able to shed so much light on the stories that need to be shared. And that is what also birthed the collaborative book that we're working on now called Chingonas. We have assembled a group of 10, I think they're all Mexican-American females to come in. They are business owners. They are lights of their community. And I think at a time when the narrative around certain immigrant communities is so negative in our country, we're going to take back that story and we're going to tell the story that actually needs to be told, which is a story of light and of love and these amazing, incredible women who are being pillars in their community and showing other people that they can write their own story. And Luz, I'm so honored to be doing this book with you. What does it mean for you to help bring that collaboration book into the world and even your own book that is, largely on similar themes of your story as well?
Well, first of all, it's Mexican American and Salvadorian as well. I think we have like 3 Salvadorian, the rest are Mexican. So it's amazing just the cultures of it. But it's just we have assembled like a group of amazing women that are thriving, that are breaking generational, patterns, but they don't keep it there. They're actually helping other women. So that is when I start when we start talking about the project, I was like, okay, first of all, can I even do this? What does it even mean? Right? I second guessed myself, but I was like, no, these stories and these women need to come together. But now who am I going to, to choose to come into the book? And all these women have in common that they are breaking the, traumas, generational curses, however you want to call it, but they are helping others do the same. And they're just pouring. We have philanthropists, we have licensed therapists, we have entrepreneurs, we have a doctor there as well. It's just amazing. I can't wait for that book to come out. I think I'm more excited about that book than my book, to be honest.
There's so many amazing stories, and hearing you share, Luz, is just it speaks to what can happen when you enter the room. This started because you chose to go to Barnes and Nobles at the Grove for what was a beautiful celebration of Soul Sparks Press authors last year. The Los Angeles Tribune, we collaborate at Barnes and Nobles at the Grove to bring amazing stories to life. And our next author was actually a speaker during that event. But Luz, you showed up, you kind of had a small idea, but you just showed up and you were just open to what could happen, which really seems to be a theme here with when you step into Write With Me, you're open to what could happen. Rana, I don't know if Rana knew her book was going to be selected as the book that was going to get published by Soul Sparks, or the book that
she manifested it. She was manifesting it from the beginning.
And Danielle, just hearing about your own journey, understanding like what you've been through, but also figuring out like, how do I use words to actually reflect this out to the world? I think that's what's so beautiful about books and Erica Bacchus started us off with this showcase earlier when she shared that everyone has a story within. But it definitely takes community. It definitely takes being around like-minded people, people that believe in you to help get it out there, but also to support you when it is out there. And that's what this is all about. That is what I know Soul Sparks Press is all about. And that is why, you know, the Los Angeles Tribune collaborated with Deepika and Soul Sparks Press for authors to watch in 2026, because there are so many amazing stories and everyone's story is different. And for those of you tuning in, you've probably heard that everyone's experience with how they became an author is different, but some of the themes of healing, of sharing, of realness and authenticity are resonating throughout. So I want to say, Luz and Danielle and Rhonda, congratulations for making it through Right With Me, for also being open to the possibilities of what can be. It's a delight for you all to join us today. We'll be on the lookout for all of your books. And Luz, it's okay to be excited by all the books. I know Deepika is excited about all different, and every book sparks something different in somebody else. So thank you all for joining us today.
Thank
and
you.
We are going to, for those of you that are here, thank you so much. We have a really exciting guest coming up, and I'm so excited for him to join for a few ways. He's actually one of the reasons why Soul Sparks Press exists in the way that it does today. He is someone that believes in the power of movement, in the power of spirit, in the power of fitness. And when Soul Sparks Press launched back in 2024, this gentleman that is about to join us in just a moment was an integral piece of how Soul Sparks Press came to be. So to think about that time, which I can't believe almost 2 years ago, that was like March, April of 2024, to be in February of 2026 and to see Soul Sparks Press celebrating the fact that there are over 100 authors that have joined Soul Sparks Press, with Eric Bigger's question to Deepika and Deepika's question to Eric and Eric's response to Deepika being a catalyst for why all of these authors, over 100 authors, are here with you all today is so, so special. We're going to play a piece here that's going to kind of show our audience a little bit more about who Eric is. But before we do that, Deepika, is there anything that you want to say? I'm so excited for this segment. We're closing out with this special segment today. But before we get into it, Deepika, is there anything you want to say about Eric before we invite him on live?
Well, you got to watch it. I'm going to give an announcement while we're on with Eric as well. So we got last surprise bit of news dropping with him, but so honored to have Eric as part of our Soul Sparks Press family, as my personal friend, and just truly the catalyst, the messenger, I think, from universe, God, source, creator, whatever you want to call it, that launched Soul Sparks Press. So we'll get into it with him after.
We'll get into it. But first, before we do that, tune in.
The thing about spiritual fitness, you're moving your energy with intentions. You're not just like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym because I'm feeling down. No, I get to go to the gym and I get to feel better because of it, because I'm gonna get over this moment that I'm attached to based on circumstances, the world, politics, whatever it could be. Once you get the abs, once you lose the weight, now what? So what happens is, because they don't have that intention and they don't hold it in a higher frequency, they relapse because you just wanted the outcome and you never thought about the income of the outcome. This is not just a body upgrade or a body transformation, it's a life transformation.
Eric said it, it's a life transformation, and it's you and Eric, I feel like, have transformed each other's lives. So a question that started with, hey, Eric, have you ever thought about putting out a book? Eric responded, hey, if I come out with a book, will you publish it? The seed that started what is now Soul Sparks Press, one of the largest growing independent publishing houses in North America. Eric, you were such a big catalyst of that, but in your own life, you are such a catalyst of people to find themselves, to be inspired, to transform, to connect with spirituality, to connect with movement. You're such an advocate of positivity, I want to say, and inspiration, and just empowering people to show up and be their best selves, and also acknowledging that sometimes that requires work and it's not always clean. It can be messy, but it's part of the process. So Eric, would love for you to further introduce yourself and the work that you do and what your process has been like as you have put spiritual fitness out there into the world, your podcast, on your social media, through your book, and how you want people to connect with that message of spiritual fitness, which you have coined. So welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, ladies. It's good to see you guys again. Yeah, I'm Eric Bigger, spiritual fitness expert, personal development coach, and it's an honor to be here because I didn't get here by chance or choice. I feel like my soul was chosen to spark this book through Deepika's transmission. Um, and I can't recall the conversation, but I do remember telling Deepika, if you publish my book, I'll write it. But I didn't know what I really was saying. I feel like my soul foreshadows things before they happen. And that journey started. And in 2024, I didn't know what the book was going to be. I think, this was right before I went to Peru and had, my awakening, did plant medicine, all these things that I was growing through. And coming off the mountain, I still was kind of like, I don't know. I'm actually writing a book. And so yesterday, give you context, Deepika and I had a conversation and I teared up because I said, man, writing this book is emotional. It's not like, oh, I get to change people. I get to be fit. I get to pray. But I tapped into a part of my soul that I've never reached by myself. And I think the book was the portal that opened that up for me. And I don't know if I shared this with you, Deepika, but as we finished the book, we was going through this challenging point of like the beginning, the end. We needed more, we needed more. And I'm like, what is that more? And I was like, oh, vulnerability. Oh, intimacy. Oh, I gotta really tell them about my pain, not my light. I gotta tell them about the shadow and the dark, not the brightness of my career and my life. And so thankful for a client of mine, Ashley, at the time. She was an angel reader. And she gave me an angel reading for like my life and my soul and my ancestors. My great grandmother, my uncle, and my great grandfather came in and said, hey, tell him we're proud of him. We want him to keep going. And my great grandmother was telling me to tell my mom that to me that she apologized for the love or whatever I didn't get. I had a mother wound growing up. I write about that in a book, but it really brought to fruition that, oh, my whole purpose in LA was to transform the lineage of my family, to heal that part of me, to go into this new side of life, to live in my purpose through spiritual fitness. So spiritual fitness has been a gift that I discovered through chaos that is now bringing peace, prosperity, and evolution to people's soul. And I'm so thankful for this process because it is something I feel like I channel through my soul to bring out in the world that's innovative, that allows you to set intentions, to move your body with love, and to bring you into your God frequency, to take your power back, to know who you are, what you are, and why you here, while you move your body. So spiritual fitness has been that transmission.
And spiritual fitness, the book is done and it is coming out. That is our big announcement that Eric's book is going to release on June 9th. And we've got some incredible things that are going to be happening in the lead up to that book release, including we're going to be in Times Square right before the book releases in a big way with a spiritual fitness pop-up and some other magic making that is going to happen. So watch this space. Follow Eric Bigger on socials. You're going to know everything that's happening with that. But you know what, Eric, I was thinking about your book yesterday too when we were talking, and you have this beautiful gift of expression. So not only is spiritual fitness such a divine concept, really, right? That we can move the body is not for the purposes of what we look like, right? But for the purposes of integrating deeper to the you within the you, to the me within the
Right. Yeah.
the way that you were able to express that in this book, I said yesterday to you, you've got the gift of expression. Right? The way you're able to speak about this moves people to want to participate in this new way of being. And you have such a beautiful gift of that. I'm just so excited for the world to really see that in this book.
Yeah, I mean, the book it's everybody has the gift of expression. I think what we talked about yesterday is that we suppress that gift because it might not make sense to the audience or to the collective. But when you find that small gift and you have discernment and you trust it, even if there's no fans, no followers, no people, You're the first fan, the first follower that has to believe in it to bring it out into the world. And that is part of spiritual fitness, but that's also part of the miracle in everyone's life that I want people to fall into or walk into through spiritual fitness. Because if you knew your power without giving yourself power from someone else, you'll always be in power. But sometimes we need reminders. Sometimes we need reassurance. I couldn't do this alone. We got LA Tribune here with Alicia. We got you, Devika, your team, Maria, Freer, everybody that's helped me, Amy, who's writing this book. It's not just us or me or we, it's everyone collectively. And that's what it's about. It's bigger than me. I want everybody to tap into their spiritual fitness to spark their souls so they can see and witness themselves through writing a book. Because honestly, writing is healing. I've healed a lot of parts of me by writing a book that I didn't think would change my way or change my life and my frequency in that way. So thank you.
Yeah, we're hearing that as a theme. We've been talking about healing is right. I think it's come up like 5 times, which is amazing and beautiful because it's true, right, Alicia?
It is. It's part of the process. And for those of you that are tuning in, just like hearing Eric and Deepika speak, can you see how Soul Sparks Press started? Can you see the catalyst that was the mission of sparking souls? And Eric, you mentioned it earlier that a lot of this kind of emerged through the chaos. Healing has been a very big theme because there's something deeply personal about going within to bring your story out, because you're not just bringing it out, you're remembering, you're reflecting, you are re-experiencing, and you're also figuring out. I love that you said it just a bit ago, Eric, that everyone has the gift of expression, but it's how do you actually get it out there? How do you have that belief in yourself? How do you have that understanding that if it just touches me, if it just touches one person, it's doing what it needs to do, because it may not hit everybody at once, but just that opportunity for it to plant a seed of understanding and reflection is so key. Eric, when you think about, well, first, congratulations that the book is coming out in June. I know it's highly anticipated and we're going to be on the lookout for it. When you think about 1 or 2 themes that you really speak about that come up more than once in your book, what are they and why do you want those themes in particular to connect with the readers?
I think the first thing is intentions, right? What is our intention for our life, for our mind, for our body, for our souls? And then with that intention, how are you moving that intention within your life, within your mind, and definitely within your body? Because the body keeps the score. I always say the body is the real bank account. It's the real wealth, right? That's where everything starts, a vision, a thought, a thing. And then outside of that, the spiritual part of everyone's soul, whether it's meditation, breath work, or prayer. I'm big on prayer, and I say prayer is a higher affirmation to the higher self, to God, to creator, to the universe, to connect to have that come to fruition with confidence, faith, and certainty, not with fear, not with scarcity, but you're saying it in a way, a neutral state or a phenomenal, fulfilling state for it to come through. But I think with that intention and that prayer, with that 45 minutes of movement on top of rep work and affirmations, and you put it together, you have a soul that's yours and you can own it in the world with strength, with confidence, and with favor and faith. And we all got the juice. We all have the gift of expression. And I feel like I'm here to help people get that out of there in every way. So I'm thankful.
There's so many points that you brought together there, but Eric, you started with intentionality, which is huge, right? Because to really have impact or have direction, really, there has to be an intention to see something that's grounded. Even if the intention is, let me be surprised today, that's an intention. We heard a little bit earlier from some of the Write With Me authors. When you think about the intention that has been driving you forward in this season of your life, and you've been through a lot of seasons over the last 2 years, you talked about briefly your awakening when you went to Peru. You talked about really just being an advocate of spiritual fitness, even the shift to spiritual fitness. When you think about intentionality in this season of your life, what comes up for you?
Yeah, I think for me it's vulnerability. And I think that's what the book is about. In the book, I talk about my awakening. I talk about my dad in and out of the hospital. I talk about being heartbroken. I talk about being successful. I talked about living out my dreams, being in Times Square on billboards. I talk about everything. But inside the book, you get pieces of me the real me, not the me you think I am based on what you see. And so I'm learning through Deepica is helping me write. Like when you give a story and you give the details, you bring more people into you and not what they think. And that has helped me so much in life because I want people to get the real sense of who I am, what spiritual fitness is, and what life is, to have success, to have struggle, betrayal, upset. It's all part of the journey. It's the hero's journey, right? I didn't get here because, oh, I was always positive and I was always energetically up. I was always down and I was confused, lost, and upset. But through writing, I realized that's a part of my story. And that story is going to move people, empower people to tap into their spiritual purpose and essence. So vulnerability and intimacy, if you put those two words together, that's the theme of my life. I was sharing with Devika like 2 weeks ago. I was like, something had took place in my life. I said, oh, this is the part where I got to be vulnerable with people. Oh my God. I got to let them know that I'm hurt, that this hurts. Oh, the positive guy is not Superman today. He's feeling his feelings. And by the way, and I went to Austin, Texas 2 months ago, and the download that came to me is that I'm grateful to feel my feelings. And I think that's the vulnerability and the intimacy that I'm bringing in this book and this life and this year. And I want everyone to feel that part of me outside of the other stuff that they think is great, right?
I love it. I think it's so incredible and so powerful. And I think the world is going to benefit so much from these words because you have cracked yourself right open in this writing process, right? I mean, in every way you have, and we've talked about this in our broadcast today, starting with Shannon at the top of the show, that, we change in this writing process and we do get cracked open. And there are times we want to check that book out the window. I think we talked about this with the memoir authors too, is like, this gets really hard to keep writing about our lives. But when you keep allowing yourself to move through it, you get to end up on the other side where now, you're about to bring a movement to the world on spiritual fitness. And I don't know what could be better than that. I think it was worth getting cracked wide open for, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have certifications, academies. We're doing it all. I just think I want to introduce it to people through this book first and let it come out in their lives and let them know that they have the power to be spiritually fit and not how you look or what you have, but who you are and how that shows up in your life every day when no one's looking. And that's the integrity of spiritual fitness.
And like who you really are. You said, you want people to know you, not what they think they know, but
yes,
the actual you, the actual Eric. And that's, books are so powerful because they are cultural preservation, but they're also an opportunity for people to share their stories in their own words. Like, and it's a story, once you write it in a book, it's not, someone's not writing it. Like someone isn't looking at you and writing that narrative.
Right.
You are expressing and embodying the fullness of who you are through the words that are written on the page. And there's such a difference and a distinction there, but that's why books are so powerful, whether the book is about to come out, whether it's a book that's been out for 5 years, like Deepika's Hello Universe, how she scheduled a breakdown and manifested a new life and how others can too. That was the theme of this book, and that theme planted a seed for Deepika to be an author, that planted the opportunity for her to speak with you, Eric, about you bringing your story out in the world, for you to be able to say, like, I'll bring it out, Deepika, if you publish it, and look at it now, right? Soul Sparks Press is celebrating over 100 authors that are part of this. It's a movement, but it's also just a cultural embodiment of sparking souls, which is so big.
Yeah, and I just got a channel thought. I'll tell you later, Deepika, but thank you for saying that, Alicia. That was really great. Timing is perfect. I love it.
I can't wait.
Sparks.
There we go. There we go.
The soul spark. So Deepika, what is something that you have never shared with Eric that you want to share with him in this moment? He's been vulnerable, though. He's clearly shared that the book writing process has gotten him to emote a little differently or think or think a little bit differently in real life experiences. But what is maybe something that you haven't shared with Eric that you would just like to share with him in this moment, particularly as we celebrate the fact that his book is launching in June of 2020?
I think the number one thing for Eric that I would want to tell Eric is, like, I'm like proud of you. For me, he gives younger brother energy, right? He feels that way to me. And I mean that in the most beautiful way. I have a beautiful younger brother, and that's the way that I feel for him it's probably the way that I feel for Eric. Is I am just proud of you. I'm proud of your evolution. I'm proud of the man that you are. I'm proud of the way you show up in this world. I'm proud of these words and this wisdom and this gift of expression that you are bringing to thousands and millions of people every single day, and the way that you show up. And I think it's just beautiful to watch, and I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful for you, because if it weren't for you saying those words 2+ years ago, like,
Ha. Yeah.
so this whole thing of Soul Sparks Press doesn't exist. And this is why I think people come into your lives to be transmissions of the information or the words you need to hear in order to get to your next level. And I needed you to say that to create this. So as
Right.
much as I am proud of you for what you're doing in this world, I am also just immensely grateful to you, because without you, who knows how long it would have taken for this transmission to actually come and be in our reality. And we are 105 authors deep now, making waves, giving readers soul sparks around the world every single day. And Eric, I'm just so grateful to you, so proud of you. So thank you so much for being part of this journey with me.
Yeah, thank you. And I want people to know this, right? And I think it's so important. You never know why people come into your life, but when you tap into something, more than yourself, I would call it God frequency. That was God that answered that call for you.
Yeah.
I just was the vessel or the faith meter for that to come through. And it was perfect timing. I mean, 105 authors in. I mean, I'm proud of you. Congratulations. This is something, you've been in business or company, what, 18 months, 20 months? Come on, that is like progress, success. But more importantly, I feel like when you believe in something greater than yourself, magic happens, miracles happen, souls are sparked, and books are written, and souls are evolved, and we get to share this light with the world and let people know that it's possible, right? And you can do it, and we did it, and we're doing it. So thank you. I appreciate your words. I receive them well, and I'm just excited for the next thing of expansion. And yeah, let's get it.
Let's go.
Fall 2026 is up from here. For those of you that are tuning in, you're here with Eric Bigger, who is the up and coming author of the book Spiritual Fitness, that is launching in June of 2026. And we're here with Deepika Sandhu, who's the founder and CEO of Soul Sparks Press. My name is Alicia Magnus Lewis. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at the Los Angeles Tribune, and such a champion of authors and such a champion of the impact that Soul Sparks Press is making in this world. Today, we had an opportunity to hear from a number of phenomenal authors that are on every stage of the author journey, from just ideation, and they're in a class with Deepika called Write With Me, to their books have hit the digital and physical bookshelves, like the women that were part of She Found Her Superpower, one of Soul Sparks Press' biggest launches. We launched today that She Found Her Superpower was selected as a Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed best-selling book for its cultural relevance, its literary excellence, and its impact. And it really is a story about how people have found their superpowers. And I'd have to say that hearing all of the authors that have shared today, writing a book is a superpower. Healing is a superpower. Getting to know yourself is a superpower. Figuring out who you are in the chaos, like Eric said, is a superpower. So we just want to say congratulations to Deepika for everything that you've been building with Soul Sparks Press over the last 2 years. Congratulations to Eric for really just doubling down on the journey and being open and vulnerable to share your life experiences with people, whether it's through your social media, through your book, or through acknowledging that everyone can express. It's just about finding the right community and support to bring that out of you. And I hope that you write down whatever message was channeled to you, so that you remember to share that message. But we want to say it's a celebration. Deepika, please stay on, because we got some exciting videos to share about Shannon's book that's coming out on February 14th. But Eric, it's been such a pleasure for you closing us out today, and would just like to sit with you for a moment if you have any last words you'd like to share with our audience today.
the first thing that comes to mind, if we can get back to a space of love and doing things from our heart, I think that's a message I want to leave with people. Love and living and speaking from the heart and allowing that to ground you, allow that to embody you in the love of yourself, the love of life, and more importantly, gratitude for life, because it's a privilege to live life. It's a privilege to be here. But I believe if we live with love and we come from the heart, everything will always work out with certainty.
Live from the heart. So good. Thank you so much, Eric. Until next
Thank
time,
you.
and we'll look out for your book. Wow, what a powerful program today, Deepika. Soul Sparks Press authors to watch in 2026. This theme of love has been coming up a lot. So before we dive into that, I want to share something with our audience. Stay tuned.
This all stemmed from being in a really broken place in my life. Healing doesn't have to be so heavy all the time. Through writing my journal, I realized I started getting my joy back. I lost who I was. Like, I'm fun. I just want this book to get in the hands of the people, just to fully express and just like to get in there and just loving yourself, and like, it doesn't have to be a certain way. It could just be you, because that's who you are and you're so special.
It's all about love.
Yeah. And we're so excited we're just so excited about all of the authors, but Shannon Beardsmore's journal, the book journal, is coming out this Saturday, Valentine's Day. Love letters, and it is just exquisite, just beautiful. But you know, we've just heard from 20 of our Soul Sparks Press authors today, and you can see their own unique journeys and these books that are out already, the ones that are about to be out, the ones that are still in the works. They're just all creating something truly soul sparking with their words. And it is truly, Alicia, the honor of my life to be able to be the vessel that is bringing these books from their hearts onto the page and into the hands of readers around the world.
That's so phenomenal. And, you know, you are on a mission to spark over 1 million souls around the world. And that is exactly what you're doing. There were so many themes that came up today, but a lot of them are around love and self-love and healing and the writing process, not just being about the book coming out, but the journey, about the conversation starters, like with Erica Bacchus's book, about her life journey with her husband as he navigated Alzheimer's, you know, with Shannon, with her journal of love, with Natalie about the meaning of a wedding dress and what that meant for her own life and her own relationship with self as she went through her divorce. We heard from Danielle about what it's like to be in the Write With Me program, and Rhonda actually joining the Write With Me program that planted a seed for how she connected with the relationship that she has with her father, who is navigating health challenges. There's books do so much, you know, here at the Los Angeles Tribune, we are a champion of authors about giving a voice to the voiceless and also recognizing authors, not only for the book that they put out there, but for the people that they are. Because as we've heard today, it takes a lot from a person to put their life story out there, whether it is their entire life story in a memoir, whether it's an experience they want people to understand with through something like a children's book, like we heard from Kurt T earlier, right? There's so much, or Rochelle, there's so much that comes with books. And, you know, we started this journey because a few years ago, we recognized Hello Universe, It's Me as a Los Angeles Tribune critically acclaimed best-selling book for the impact. And also for showing people that, like, it takes, you got to go within to figure out who you want to be. You have to go within to figure out who you want to be, whether you schedule it, whether a life experience, challenge happens to you, but you have to go within. And we recognized your book 2 years ago for the cultural relevance and impact that it's had. And it's been so remarkable to see you evolve on your journey. There are so many books. Deepika's book is featured on the LA Tribune critically acclaimed bestseller website, which is latribunebestseller.com. It's a community-based nomination experience that actually honors and recognizes the words on the page, not just the sales commercially, because it's really about the impact. And so, Deepika, I have to say congratulations. There's so much for people to look out for in 2026 as it relates to Soul Sparks Press. I'm going to play one more commercial for the audience that's tuning in, and then we want to hear your closing remarks right after this, because there's something that's going to be shared in there that I want you to do a little bit of a deep dive so people can understand what it's really about. Stay tuned. Can someone say Paris? That captures the essence of all that Soul Sparks Press is and is continuing to do for authors. But there was a treat in there. There was a mention of Paris. So as we come to a close today, I would love for you to kind of share your reflections of what it's meant to lead this publishing house over almost the last 2 years and what you're most excited for as it relates to 2026.
I think leading this publishing house has been probably what I was meant to do my entire life and just never knew it. I was always writing from the youngest of ages. So I think becoming someone who ultimately published a book isn't surprising, but what is surprising is that I ended up running this publishing house because it wasn't a plan. It was, I think, a divine download that just landed and we ran with it because I was in a phase of my life where I was willing to say yes. And that willingness to say yes has allowed us to grow Soul Sparks Press at record speed over the last 21, 22 months or so. But in a way that I hope to the authors, and I hope you guys all saw from all the authors that we showcased today, has been an experience that is impactful, that has been soul-filling, and that is truly a portal to their next level. So I am here at Soul Sparks Press for the impact that we can make through books by bringing our sweepingly inspirational stories to life, whether that is through memoir or self-help or inspirational books or leadership books or books about health and wellness and death and dying, all the way through to our fiction releases and our upcoming children's books. All of this is serving my broader goal of sparking 1 million souls, but also to create under one roof the opportunity for you to not only write and publish your book, but to be seen for your book. Like all 20 of our authors were seen here today and have been seen on our stages across the country already, but also to convert your beautiful book into something more, to be seen for your book through Soul Spark Studios, where we're working on screenplays and movies and TV shows and podcasts, or through our brand new author agency, where we are supporting our authors in their ongoing marketing and social media and their PR, and through our events, which have been such a beautiful staple of what we have done. So yes, we're going to Paris at the end of this year, October of 2026 for our fall release party. This past year in 25, it was held in New York City. And in the middle of that event, I just got the thought so clearly, like a download, that the next one needs to be in Paris, and it is. So all the details are being finalized, and we are going to host our first retreat in Paris as well, which will be our Write With Me in Paris retreat. So all the things that we teach our authors in our writing course is going to come into a retreat format as well. And I am just so beyond words excited about all of this. It's about the impact. That's what we're here to do, is to create an impact with our words. And thank you so much, Alicia, for being such a champion for Soul Sparks Press and for the LA Tribune for all of their partnership with us. We are just really thankful for all of the interactions that we've had together, and everything that's been so supportive of what we're building here.
Well, it's such a delight to be able to collaborate with you on your mission to spark 1 million souls around the world. There's so much to look out for from Soul Sparks Press in 2026. Today, you are tuning in to Soul Sparks Press, authors to watch in 2026. And these are truly authors to watch, not only for the words on their page, but for what these people, these authors are doing in their communities and in their professional lives. Until next time, we appreciate you all for tuning in, whether you're watching live or catching the replay. We encourage you to share what watching this program meant to you. To all of the people out there, know that you have a story within and your story matters. Until next time, we will see you all soon. Have a great one. Thank you so much, Deepika.
Thank you.
Thank you.